Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Stat Check episode 141. I'm pretty sure this is the Abominant Snowman. I hope everybody's doing well. Really, people like if there's not a show within like 10 minutes before it goes, I get free reign to do whatever I want, and it's always going to suck. It's great. It's my favorite part. I hope everybody's doing very well today. I hope everybody is enjoying the state of the game, playing some games, getting some hammer in, getting some Lord of the Rings in the case of Anthony. We have got myself, Nathan, and Anthony, the OG3 here for a good old fashioned original Fight Club style show. So I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's ready to sit down and chill with us for a nice hour and a half on this Tuesday night as we talk about all things Warhammer. And I'll probably need to go ping the Discord in a second. But we'll start off with the easy bits. Nathan, Anthony. Nathan starts off. How are you guys doing?
I played a whole ass RTT on Saturday. And then I won the RTT. I was very impressed by myself. I know.
God, you're the best. What were you playing?
I was playing just the biggest boy Demons list in Incursion. It was freaking Scarbrand, Bellicor, or Lord of Change, Kairos, a Great Unclean One, the Changeling, Blue Scribes, 3 squads of Flesh Hounds, and a Beast of Nurgle. And it did stuff. Most of that stuff was not hold primary, but murder everything in a fucking circle around it.
Look, primary. If you hold primary, your opponent might draw challenger cards. You shouldn't do that. You don't want to give them the out, right?
That list is low key insane at primary. The minute you include Rodigus, by the way.
Yeah, I was talking to some other people, and they're like, "You should just ditch Rodigus," and I was like, "Okay, I'll ditch Rodigus," and it was fine. I definitely just held primary at the end of the game by standing screaming on the corpses of my enemies.
Yeah.
I mean, look, who are we to judge such a thing?
Like, dead people don't hold objectives, and I tabled my first 2 opponents down to the last man by turn 3, and then...
It's a pretty good way to do it, yeah. I do recommend that as an approach. If you can pull it off, tabling your opponents is a good way to go.
Yeah, and then GSC, I won by a point, which was a scary, frightening moment. By drawing cleanse on a recycle, and I was like, I just win if I cleanse that. And then we stopped counting points.
Good enough.
It goes into BCB as a win.
I don't care how this looks, 86 to 85. I'm not going to try this stupid area denial play that I needed to try to win until I drew cleanse.
The number is green. We're good. Move on.
Exactly. But other than that, I kept track of how many things Scarbrand killed, and he accounted for like most of a knight's army thanks to AP4 on his main weapon. You know, casually killing Questorius class knights, just left, right, and center. Yeah, I don't know. He did great. 4 Pinvolns continue to make everybody real sad. My last opponent was like, I can't do any damage with a mining laser, but fuck me if I don't take most of the wounds off of that Great Unclean One with Stubbers.
Yep.
Average, yeah.
Average. Yeah, that was about it. Now I'm moving into kind of practicing some Tunnel Snakes stuff. So
yeah, that rules.
It's nonsense and painting Space Wolves models. You know, it's fun. Got all this stuff.
I thought Nathan, pick an army, man. You don't play enough games to play Knights, Tyranids, and Demons.
I only picked up Demons because a friend of mine lent me the army, and he really wanted me to come to the RTT with him, and I was down to go to the RTT, but I had no models with me at the time. I was like, look, what's easy to play relatively quickly? Big boy Demons seemed the simplest. Just 6-inch deep strike and profit seemed like a plan.
I'm seeing a theme with the Tunnel Snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tunnel Snakes does the same thing. I just have to find all of my like Molochs and Trigons with which to do it with.
You and Cliff have the same like brain cell that you share to play 40k with.
We do.
They pass it back and forth.
6-inch charge. 6-inch charge. That's all you guys have got.
It's a 4-inch charge if I harpoon something first.
Oh yeah, baby.
That is
it's a 5-inch charge of Demons if you got banners.
Yeah, true. I think the funnier thing is like I don't care. Everybody was complaining that the assimilator doesn't live, and I was like, it doesn't matter. If the assimilator is the only thing alive, nothing is going to kill.
Yeah, the assimilator just picks the rerolls at the start of the game. It's like, I don't need wound rerolls. That'll be better than the objective one. I wasn't living anyway.
We're just murdering everything we get to charge. It's fine. I got several people to complain about 4-pin vulnerable saves at the RTT. They're like, this is bullshit. And I was like, look, I don't know what to tell you. The demons don't have armor. And that's about it. That's my 40k life at the moment.
Or 3 bomber save now.
It's true, but it would never matter because everything has AP. So,
Scarbrand never taking that 3 up and cover against AP1 bolters.
Not even once. Everything either ignored cover or was at least AP1 and saw all of them.
It's been really funny telling people they're heavy bolters I get a 3 up save against now. It's like, no, actually, no, stop it. And then you roll all 1s, 2s, and 4s, and you're like, didn't matter. Classic. Anthony, what about yourself? Rivendell's overpowered. Tell us all about Rivendell.
Rivendell is not overpowered, but I love them dearly. Rivendell has Glorfindel, and he's my favorite. Also, his model fucking rips. Holy moly, do mounted elf heroes have some sick fucking models in Lord of the Rings. Between Thranduil, Glorfindel, and the Elrond Master of Rivendell on a horse. Holy dude. So, yeah, the only singles
That
event...
Glorfindel model is sick.
What'd you say?
That Glorfindel model is sick.
Dude, it's insane. It's so good.
I do prefer the foot one, but it is pretty sick.
Both are great. So yeah, the only singles event I'll be playing, well, only singles events, plural maybe, question mark, that I'll be playing in the foreseeable future are Lord of the Rings ones. I'm going to a Lord of the Rings event at the end of the month.
Fucking love that. That's great.
So
keep an eye out for stat check MESPG coming.
MESPG, baby. So this stuff back here is like random Inceptor boxes and garbage, chat. Don't get distracted by this. This is stuff I have to trade in for store credit. This is not like a hint.
There's a hint of the state of Eldar right now. That Fuigan and Lycus I bought months ago are still on my shelf.
Yeah.
Brutality to the Eldar community.
Yep.
They've been sat in my direct line of sight for like 6 months.
Right.
But Anthony, is there a big boy time army in Lord of the Rings?
Oh God, yeah.
Eagles,
dude, there's a perfect army for you, Nathan. So in that game, because you love little shitters and giant monsters, right? Those are your two favorite things. So there's an army in that game that is the Balrog, and then points remaining divided by Moria goblins. And the Balrog makes the goblins fearless, which is like their weakness, is that they're like scared and do stupid shit instead. And the Balrog's like, no, don't. That army is one of the best armies in the game. You would love that shit.
More importantly, how many fell beasts could I theoretically play? That's what would get me into it. Basically, winged hive tyrants again.
4?
I'm in.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, there are some fucked up mechanics in that game. A lot of the people that play that game are like really in on this like stat called fight value, and it just like doesn't matter if the dice don't cooperate, and everyone treats it like it's the God's gift. It's really funny playing. It's really funny playing that game through the lens of someone that plays something else, because a lot of the like wider, like more established wisdom in it, I look at and I'm like, but that doesn't. You could just. It doesn't actually matter. Why? What?
Like what? So, what's an example? Come on, give us a 4K player's lens into midline. This is actually kind of interesting, right?
All right. So here we go. So there's a stat. Fight value is the big one, right? Because that's the one that drives me insane. The way the fighting works in that game is your 2 units lock up in melee, and then you roll off using the dice equal to the number of attacks that you have, right? This is the duel. And the person that wins the duel gets to roll to wound. The other person kicks fucking rocks. Nothing happens. So it does not work like 40k melee, where if you get in melee, both of you swing. You roll to duel. Now, this is where shit gets fucky. If one of you has a higher fight value than the other, you win ties, which is really impactful if one of you rolls a natural 6, particularly the person with the higher number. What this doesn't account for is that this is a low dice count game. So like Glorfindel, super elven badass of myth that killed a Balrog, 3 attacks. So
it's like 5th edition 40k. Got it.
So, and yeah, everybody got 1 wound. It's exactly like that. So here's the thing. The thing with this is that you, if you don't roll a fucking 6, it's just whoever rolls higher. So fight value, the stat that everyone like loses their mind about, it just doesn't fucking matter if neither of you roll a 6. So yeah.
How many attacks then does the Balrog have?
4, I think.
I fucking love it. This is
it's great. There's so many stuff like that, and there's like
fucking demon.
there's stuff that like expands on this, right? Like if you hit a trapped or a prone, like if you try point someone and they lose the fight and get like trapped, or if you like knock someone over because you're cavalry charging infantry or a monster or whatever, then you roll twice as many wound rolls as you have attacks, and that shit's crazy. But you know, anyway, so yeah, that's
One of those nothing
fighting.
nothing happens, everything's dead games.
Yeah. I mean, it can get even crazier than that. There's a mechanic called heroic combat that is essentially fight twice for heroes. Then shit gets all the way off the rails. It's also a game without like a turn limit end, so you can just like the game ends when one of the armies, usually anyway, the end condition is one of the armies gets like quartered, which is like you lose enough models down to a quarter of your stuff.
Phase out. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So what that means is that if you take super punchy heroes and just stab everyone's like little shitters and ignore like the way the game's telling you to play the game, it just ends, which is hilarious if
you
you're
got the
aggressive.
Balrog 25 goblins, and I killed 18 goblins, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah. So there's some funny stuff in there. There's the version of it that I play has Elrond who hits you with the water horse, which like automatically knocks you prone, which really fucks with stuff. And it's an AoE. Yeah. So anyway, it's like the best game. That's the best worst game. It's not like a great game. I still prefer 40k from like a competitive stroke, but it is fun. There's also more army, like somehow more armies in that game, which is cool. I guess it's more like detachments, but you use, I don't know, whatever. Their system is way different and kind of weird. It's cool. It's fun. I'm probably going to go to Nova and play the doubles because I think A, it'll be funny to go to Nova and not play 40k, and B, it's fun. It's a fun enough game to play. So, yeah.
Nice.
That's what I've been doing. You know, that isn't under a veil of WTC-related secrecy.
How many games of Warhammer you play this week, man?
Oh, God, so many.
I think I'm in double digits as well. It's too much Warhammer, dude. It's too much.
Yeah.
I'm like fitting in games between coaching calls. Like, I have an hour and 45. I'll fight someone.
Yeah. No, the real answer, Dickie, is that we're deep in WTC prep and Anthony is unemployed. So he's playing Warhammer and
Anthony's
Lord
got
of the
time to
Rings.
play his WTC job and also have a hobby.
Yeah, it's great. It's so nice. Incredible. I can play something for fun rather than, you know, feeling like the one gif of that one picture of Ben Affleck all the time.
Totally fair. As for myself, I've also been on the WTC grind, but I can, you know, also been doing some other stuff. We had a local GT this weekend. There's a video on it already because I just sat down and recorded it on Monday because I was like, oh, it's there and it's good to go. So I played a tiny little 12-person GT with Wrath of the Rock, and I would have just like not complain about something, but that video has like twice as many views as any of the other a bunch of the others have done for a 12-person. It blows my mind the things that this community responds to sometimes. We're just like, aha, he said the lion in the thumbnail. 12-person GT doesn't matter. Talking about the lion. And it's crazy. I love this community so much sometimes, but it blows my brain occasionally. I'm like, I put in so much more work to this other event. I showed up with 15 death knights for this one. Why is this the video that's getting success?
Well, that's because people want to do what they want to do, and they don't look for content creators to find new ways to get better. They look for content creators for ways to validate what they think.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine too.
That video also has a humongous number of comments on it. Like I was in the studio controls today. I was like, why does this video already have 60 comments on it?
I've responded to all of them.
It is, yeah.
That's
It is
so
also
many.
the responses.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
like
a lot.
61 comments. I've responded to like 30 of them. There's like another 10 I need to respond to still or something
Look at
stupid
you
like that.
go.
Yeah, it's kind of great. I really enjoy that. Yeah, I think I'm trying to, how am I trying to put this for myself? I think people want to engage with novel ideas, right? That's the thing that I want. Like they want to see people trying new things and trying cool things. No one cares about the 5th video this month on Gladius Space Marines, right? But someone doing new thing with new stuff, I think that just generally draws people in. So yeah, I'm gonna try and keep using my RTT time to do this kind of video. I think is the goal. Because I do play a bunch of RTTs and little GTs and stuff like that. So especially once we're at the WTC season, it'll be good to kind of zoom out a little bit and play some fun stuff. Because like ultimately that's kind of where the Gene Circle video started with, right? The Hellstorm one. Anthony was like, "Yeah, there's no way you can bring Gene Circle to Challenger Cup," and terrible. And look what that spawned.
Yeah. Prove me wrong, bitch.
So it's been interesting. So yeah, go and check out that video. It's on the youtube.com/statcheck. It's called were the lion buffs enough? And I'll give you a spoiler. I don't think the lion killed as much as Scarbrand did in Nathan's RTT across 5 games at YGT. So
to be fair, Scarbrand was perfect for the first 2 opponents that I had.
I don't think he's bad against GSC either, right? Like he's still got enough attacks.
He killed a Genestealer unit with a Patriarch and then killed most of an Aberrant unit by himself and killed an Abominant twice.
I did also make a Death Guard video and look where they are now. That's true. It's my fault entirely. No one was playing Hammer before Alice and I spoke about it on that show. Hammer was nowhere.
It's true though.
Christ. So yeah, that was really fun. I did win my local GT with that. I got to play some really fun games. I did not enjoy the dance that the Lion and the Karnbrick were doing with each other, where it was like, I can't charge your Rhino and then get murdered, and you can't charge me, so
we're just gonna Mexican standoff.
Yeah, we just
each other for a while. Fair.
Yeah, it was great fun. So yeah, that is that. I'm hoping that's stalled enough. Nathan, do you have stats from Jeremy?
I do. I have the snapshot now, so we are ready to move into stats.
Absolutely nailed it. Go for it, my friend.
Excellent.
Take us away.
All right. In top by win rate is Leagues of Votan with 16 players, 2% meta representation, a 59% win rate, 1 event win, a top 4, and 5 top 10s for a 0.97 over rep. In second is Imperial Knights, 35 players, 4.3% of the meta, a 56.5% win rate, 2 event wins, 5 top 4s, 9 top 10s, and a 2.22 for over rep. I said that was Imperial Knights, right? I didn't just hallucinate my way through the stats. Excellent. Adeptus Custodes are in third. Hopefully I will stop hearing them complain constantly about where they get put in tier lists. I will not.
You will not, no, because I'm going to keep putting them in F tier, so
fine. 4.8.
Really, I'm just hoping that by putting them there, I'll manifest them stopping playing them, and we can get back to remember, Anthony, remember how we were complaining that Custodes were a lot better than their stats? They just had faction abandonment.
Yeah.
God, I'd fucking pay for that again.
Yeah, that was great. That was the best time.
They still are less represented than normal at 4.8%. Strangely, that is a truth. I don't know that I want to explore that any further. They had a 56% win rate, 3 top 4s, 11 top 10s, and a 1.2 for over rep. Necrons permanently established in the top 5, no matter what anybody does about them. 53 players, 6.6% of the meta, a 55.9% win rate, 1 event win, 5 top 4s, 12 top 10s, and a 1.47. In 5th place is Genestealer Cole. There were 10 of them. 1.2% of the meta.
They're having the best time.
A 54.5% win rate, 1 top 4, 2 top 10s, and if you won 1.55 over rep. Right underneath them, and I feel this needs to be talked about because it is very funny, is Thousand Suns, who had 51 players at 6.3% meta representation, clawing their way out of obscurity from meta representation with numbers, a 53.5% win rate. Wait, did I just get these confused? A 54.1% win rate, 2 event wins, 7 top 4s, 9 top 10s, and a 2.13 over rep. Casually starting out real strong. And then Death Guard are right underneath them with 61 players, 7.5% of the meta, which is just so many fucking Death Guard players. They have a 53.5% win rate, 4 event wins, 6 top 4s, 14 top 10s, and a 1.53. Which is the vast majority of the event wins from the weekend. In the bottom, we have Imperial Agents who just had 1 person. At a 28.6% win rate and no placements. Death Watch are right above them with 11 players and a 35.6% win rate. Dark Angels are right above them, 25 players and a 39.3%, but they have 2 top 10s. Orcs, 4th from the bottom, 21 players, a 41.5% win rate. And then Space Wolves are rounding out the bottom 5 with 17 players and a 42.3%. Other event winners from the weekend are EC, who won an event, Astra Militarum, who won an event, and Chaos Space Marines, who won an event. And I think that is everybody.
It's an interesting little metagame set out there. What do you think?
I mean, it's a metagame, that's for sure.
And that Emperor's Children win, I think, is the largest event of the weekend.
Sure was.
The
Congratulations.
The Edmonton Open.
Well done, John. Maulerfiends are great.
Yeah. Successful
Watching
psyop.
that,
I mean,
the
good
Great
job.
Queen one make its 3-inch charge on the heroic was quite funny though.
What'd you say?
There was in the finals there was a judge call because they couldn't measure whether the Great and Clean one rolling a 3-inch heroic could get around Rodriguez to get in range.
Oh no.
It's just one of those depressing ones where you're like, heroic. Oh no, does
Oh.
3 make it?
God.
Anthony, you were about to say something.
I was just like, successful psyop. I mean, congrats, John.
Convincing everybody that Maulerfiends
Never children are
right
so
before
good, guys.
WTC.
I mean, EC are good. Maulers are good.
Dawn is
We'll
good.
see. Yeah.
Maybe Canada just sucks, guys. Like, let's not put too much on the fact of this event win for John. I also saw that Bruce was looking for Maulerfiends this morning, so
I'll see.
the psyop is working.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's nothing too crazy otherwise in the stats. Tyranids didn't do anything this weekend, but I don't have their detachment numbers. They have a 47.9, 2 top 4s, and 4 top 10s for 0.6. But I don't think they really got to use the new detachment this weekend. So,
Well, I mean, the Raveners are still not in use for everywhere yet, which is annoying. So
That's so
they're not in the
stupid.
app yet.
I know
Just
it's really
use Raveners. You can just use the Raveners you were using. They have a new data sheet.
but the data sheet's not in the app yet, so you can't. Yeah,
It's not. It's just the old data sheet. Yeah.
the old data sheet that doesn't have the borrower keyword. Yeah, it's great in Assault.
God.
I know, right?
It's terrible.
I hate Warhammer
That's okay.
players. I think I've been saying that. I've been saying this for someone mentioned this in the chat. It was like, why is it that everyone's like, oh yeah, rules is written, rules is intended, rules is intended, rules is written, rules is written. When it's like, all right, we're gonna let the Thousand Suns players counterspell your shooting phase by removing their own casualties, but Molochs coming from the tunnels definitely can't do mortal wounds. I hate Warhammer players. It bugs me so much.
I think that's
It
fine.
depends.
I think that's probably what they meant.
I think it's probably exactly the Trigods of Moloch sector should probably not work for Molochs, right? I feel like that's the intended outcome.
I agree. I think that's good.
It's whoever has the stronger union, and Thousand Suns players definitely like break out 7 books and then are like, here are all of the reasons, and
Yeah.
then like strongly try to union you to death with.
I think Thousand Suns
with
players should
logs.
have to declare which spells they're casting which character on their list, and then there's
I like
the character
it.
dies.
I like
Sorry,
it.
buddy, you don't know the spell anymore. Only that guy brought it.
I
Do you
want
remember
them
when
to
they could fail
randomize.
spells? That was cool.
No, I don't remember anything. I feel like I've barely seen a Thousand player take mortal wounds, let alone fail.
Yeah.
I don't
Just
know.
watch Thousand players roll like 2-6, and then they're like, cool, easy 4+. And I'm like, for fuck's sake. And they never take mortals. They never take mortal wounds. I don't understand it.
It's a good army. It's pretty powerful.
It's pretty good.
Maybe the
The
new
last-
UKTC maps solve it, dude. Maybe it's finally bad there.
It does look like it's going to be hard to deploy Magnus on.
Good.
Yeah, I
Good.
think we should
Fuck
play
that
UK.
guy,
If they're as good as they are for killing Magnus, I think we should play them at WTC.
Sure. Whatever keeps Thousand Suns down, dude.
Anything to keep that union out of our lives. Yeah.
We all just play armies that just hate Thousand Suns all the time. It's great.
I can't imagine. Yeah, I play an army that hates Thousand Suns. I like standing on objectives and leaving my deployment zone.
I like having normal amounts of damage output, not damage output given from God to kill vortex beasts.
Uh,
Yeah. What's an
Thousand
efficient
Suns.
gun into a vortex beast? If anybody comes up with one, let me know. So far, I figured out Magnus is pretty good at killing them.
2 Doom Bolts. Start. It's a start.
Do you think the rise of T-Cells receives Librarians? Does Librarians Conclave make you immune to to flamers and vortex beasts?
Or just hands.
No.
To just
Yeah.
these hands, dude.
Catching hands.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it does. That seems like a terrible use of Librarians Conclave. What happens when you play against the other armies in the metagame? You rock up with Librarians
I don't even
Conclave,
think it
puts, like,
works
on the
against
hammer.
T-Suns.
No, I know it doesn't, but like,
Yeah.
imagine it made your matchup like 5% better against them, right? You just show up and you're just up against Hammer Death Guard, just like, fuck, I wish I had damage.
What if you take 3 Deathwing Knight squads, all led by Terminator Librarians?
In Wrath of the Rock.
Boom, nailed it, crushed it. That's the solution.
What toughness is a Vortex Beast? Vortex Beast is toughness 10 with a 4-up armor, 5 invulnerable save, and a 5
Look.
pain for 160 points.
I'm just saying, if Plague Marines could shoot their contagions at stuff, then Noise Marines would kill the Vortex Beasts much faster, and we would have
True.
a different, at least, metagame.
It's true. I think. Actually, I want to say that Mutalith Vortex Beasts and Death Guard drones are pointed for the same game. Unfortunately, it's not the game that any of the rest of us play.
Yeah, the other 20 or whatever armies, not so much.
Yeah, those two are pointed for their own game, and then 8-bound were pointed for like Middle Earth strategy battle game or something.
Yeah, for real. 8-bound would clean it the fuck up against Mordor, but unfortunately they have to play against.
What fight value would 8-bound have?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. They'd be like 7. It'd be sick. Unfortunately, A, that stat, even in that game, they can't have a stat that matters, and B, fuck. God damn it. Poor 8-bound, dude. How the mighty have fallen.
It's hilarious as well, because like when I play against World Eaters, it's still the 8-bound are still just like the best unit going if it's not a Forge Fiend. And just like, wow, these things are still really good. They're so expensive, though.
The best unit besides this other unit.
Yeah, okay, like Forge Fiends are stupid. I was also playing no guns, right? So like Forge Fiends were cleaning house because I was just like, oh, I can't interact with those.
Sure. Yeah, look, World Eaters are certainly an option right now.
World Eaters are legal to be played.
Yep.
All right, Nathan, you got the stats in front of you. Do you have any detachment stats from us? Did Jeremy grace us?
We don't have any detachment stats today, unfortunately.
Okay, let's just make some up. Mortarian's
Sure.
Hammer had an 83% win rate, a 4.2 over rep.
Innes, don't get us on to Reddit already. I wanted to talk about Vic Vijay just popping in to say 1,000 goats instead of 1,000 sons.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody loves a Mutalith Vortex Beast that is now -1 to fucking wound.
Dude, I love that everyone has shit their pants about that detachment. I've seen it win like 2 of the 6 games I've seen it play.
Yeah, Michael Mann took it to like a 4-1, and it was doing okay in Spain, I think.
I feel like doing okay in Spain is like the name of a WoW guild I was in.
Doing okay in Spain is like the boy band we're gonna make when StatCheck
Right.
starts popping off.
Yeah, that's right.
Nobody has goats assembled. Yeah, someone out there has got 100 goats sitting on a 3D printer, waiting ready for someone to pay them for them.
Yeah.
No one is, because no one, like, look, if I was playing Thousand Sons, you know I'd be playing goats, because I like playing a horde. I'm a psychopath. No one else wants to do that. No one else is this stupid.
I don't even think you would. I think you would just play the list that tables the bad guys and gets a 20.
Yeah, I mean, of course I would. But if I could play a horde that also tabled the bad guys, that's what I really want, right? And that's why I play Host of Ascension. I'm playing that for a GT this weekend, right? Like, we don't have to make things complicated. I painted up like 36 more new heavy weapons or special weapons because I just needed them more.
In a grip.
Yeah, I know,
just
right?
Hello, my stupid children.
I needed more Gene Stealer called special weapons to make them easy to find. So I painted up 36 new ones.
Oh god!
And I got real Ridge Runners because I won them from the combat patrols. I don't have 3D printed ones anymore. Look at that! Look,
very nice. Look at that.
And then I don't know, points went down. So we
Jackals.
I painted 10 new bikes, or I built 10 new bikes because I needed mining lasers.
Nice.
Yeah, all my 6 old ones all have flamers because that was what's good last edition. So somehow they convinced me to own more than the maximum number of bikes because I needed mining lasers.
In the long run, dude.
I know, right? Really, I should have just magnetized them, but I'm far too lazy, and those were free. So, they're definitely not getting magnetized. I don't magnetize free stuff. That's just too much effort. All right, we were going to talk a bit about CK this week.
Yep, Chaos Knights. Because
Go on, then, Nathan. Tell us what you think about CK.
God. I think CK are really good. I don't know. It's a combination of.
He's been silenced.
Have I been silenced? I got silenced already, or am I muted?
I can hear you.
Okay, it's just innocent. All right, Chaos Knights I think are extremely good. I don't know. They're cheap. You can take 6 big knights if you want now and make that into a list if you feel like it. I don't know if that's the best way with which to play, but you could take 3 big knights and a series of little fuckers and then take D3 mortal wounds and have a bunch of increases in efficiencies to your units if you'd like. I think people kind of like unfairly were down on it initially because the dread table isn't like awe-inspiringly good.
It's really good,
but it is good.
Yeah,
and it's like
it's really good.
It's having 7 rules for your army, and sometimes they just don't. If you randomize it every time, it won't work for you. But there's like a pattern to randomizing it based on the number of things that you've got. Wow, Innes died apparently.
Yeah, he's gone. Just
a terrible
lost.
vibe. But I think that army is really good, and people are going to discount it kind of initially because of a bunch of people reacted initially negatively to the dread table, and then there's just a bunch of good shit in it. Most of the detachments are good. They have the best fucking stratagem I've ever seen, which is sticking objectives with OC fucking 5.
So let's talk about that real quick. So I watched a game not too long ago where the Chaos Knight player just shot all the units down below OC5 and was just like,
great.
"Yep, no objectives for you for the rest of the game." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's bad." And it was a Death Guard army. So it had just like a bunch of OC3,
It's like
drones
you get
and
2 vehicles
such.
here, you'll be fine. Yeah, good luck.
But like, they can't all make it to the objective together. Maybe one could, but one might as well be fucking 0. That shit's hilarious to me. That's the funniest thing that I think happens in 40k is like when Rodriguez stands on an objective and is like, all OC1 models are fake. Whereas just like this OC5 shit where you're like, that unit of warp spiders tried to contest this. Oh, it lost someone to fucking the warp. Sorry, just kidding. Fuck you. Is so funny.
You don't even get to take it if you land the 5 fuckers on the objective.
That's what I'm saying.
'Cause
You
have
need
to get
Lickus
6
as well.
You need Lickus. You need 6 fuckers on that objective.
Yeah.
But and then
You gotta put
GW
those
release
mortal wounds
is like,
onto Lycus or the Exarch and hope for the best.
You can't put them on
funnier thing-
Lickus, can you?
I'm pretty sure you can. Just models in the unit. It's not
Squad
attacks.
taking mortal wounds. It's like the same reason you can't put disembark mortals on a character.
Fair. I have no idea.
So
Anyway, it sucks.
That would be
Yeah.
funnier.
Sucks to suck. Put it on the Exarch. Hope you don't roll 2.
it's absolutely hilarious. Just being like, oh, unlucky, bro.
It's an incredibly disrespectful strategy, but also one that I forget exists sometimes. So I'm just like, oh yeah, my units are all 10. I don't care.
I mean, not all of your units are OC10 in Wrath of the Rock, bro. If someone does that to your Deathwing Knights, you're like,
Look, bro,
fuck.
Wrath of the Rock isn't real for drill tournaments. I ain't playing that anywhere I could. Like, that ain't. No.
Yeah.
Jeremy immediately in fucking chat. Heard a rules
Jeremy,
mistake
shut up.
and
You're not here, you don't get that
appeared
info.
in chat.
Look. She's in the box. Of course, I don't know how she fucking works.
Yeah, it's that army's a trip, dude. It's cool. Like, it does a bunch of cool stuff. The Abominants are much better than they were, which is tight.
It turns out making them 20% cheaper and 20% more damaging nets out to being pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they were 100% trash before, so some
They
some
definitely
buffs go a long way.
Some subset of these changes.
Yeah. So it's cool. It's cool. It's a cool book. I will say I hate what it does to a team's meta. I don't love that part at all because you can't. All right, here's the team's dilemma that you now face as an 8-man team is: do you go it's fake and ignore it, or do you go it's real and build around it? But what if someone doesn't take it? Then half your fucking comp dies to the boogeyman in the closet, the shadows of your anxiety that you were worried might be there claim half your comp. What do? If you're wrong, you're fucked. And if you're right, great, you did it. But like, there's, 2 of the 3 outcomes are gross.
There's also the you skew for it and bring it, and everyone else skews against it and doesn't bring it.
Oh, nightmare. Terrible. That's the worst case scenario.
Or don't skew for it and don't bring it. Everyone else doesn't skew for it and brings it.
Oh,
there's
fully punished.
The game theory here is just bad on every side, right?
Yeah, because they've introduced a thing that if you do not build for it, will just fuck you. If you're trying to play cutesy, bootsy fucking veterans of the Long War CSM, you're like, I'm going to take my legionaries and trade on objectives. Those 6 knights are going to punt you into the sky. But if you go all the way to the other side of the spectrum and you play full pact bound Abaddon gunline and the other team is just like MSU elves, you're gonna be like, curses.
Reaper's Wager, 6 Talos, 3 Scourge squads.
Yeah.
I'm ready for all the knights. And they're just like reject. Okay, you play Eldar?
The great gambit, dude. The what do you do when something like this is introduced?
It's also, as Vic says, it's worse in singles than it is in teams as well. Because every list has to do this now, or hope you don't play them.
Yeah. No, it's real bad.
Hope you don't play knights.
I mean, or do. or play knights and have taken enough damage and play a 30-minute round. You know, like that's kind of tight.
It is. You should just all in favor of Ultramarines Gladius. Guys, let's fucking go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Ultramarines Gladius kills 2 a turn and the game ends on 3. Like
2 a turn. What are we low rolling?
2 a turn is the number of Oaths of Moment that you have, right? I'm confident that it will easily.
You will get to.
Yeah.
We'll see about more.
Right.
Yeah, those rampagers are really making contact with some fucking scouts, bro. It's gonna be great.
I'm sure. Yeah, they're gonna kill the shit out of those scouts, dude. But yeah, I think it's cool. Like in general, I think the army is cool. I think their detachments are well internally balanced against each other. I think they did a broadly good job with.
And 334 points should be the minimum a big knight's allowed to cost.
Does that mean that they
means you can only have 5?
Yeah, okay.
333 is too few. 334 is fine. This 325 shit needs to go.
Got it.
And this just doesn't like that there can be 6 bigs in one.
I don't think you should be allowed to have 6 bigs. I think 6 bigs is too many.
So here's the thing. I would agree if CK also got a you can only run demons in this detachment thing. But you could, in theory, just run 5 and the fat dude we talked about earlier.
How many points is Vargas right
That's
now?
what I was. He's like, he's less than 300. He's sub 300 points.
Okay, so him plus Nurglings needs to also be 334.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably is. What did Nurglings went up in points?
They're 40, I think. It's 250?
MFM?
Okay, so 290. What's
The 250 is so
what's
cheap.
1610
Fucking
divided by
Rodriguez.
6? 1610 divided by 6. No big knight can be cheaper.
It's divided by 5.
Yeah, divided by 5. No big knight can be cheaper than 322. I don't think. I think they are already not cheaper than 322, right?
I mean,
There's none cheaper.
Because if you do 5 bigs, they're like 325 each, right?
you have
Plus
to
40 plus 250. Nah, it still
Something
fits.
like
Yeah,
that.
you have like
Yeah.
I don't like that. Fucking okay. They shouldn't be cheaper than 345. There we go. That's our math.
I don't know. I definitely want to play the vibe though of having Rodriguez and in the detachment with the super sticky objective stratagem, and just be like, "What if you never got to hold objectives?"
Sorry, bro.
It's a real shame you thought that you got to participate in the primary part of this.
It's all right. Challenger cards will catch you back up now.
They'll help.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't
Maybe this is why they
overcome.
printed
Look-
This is why they printed challenger cards. Challenger cards were designed for this book.
Challengers do a lot. They don't overcome a 40-point difference.
No, they don't. Hey, you still get your home, right? In theory,
Depends on the mission, brother. If we're playing Hints and Flies, you don't get dick.
it's true. I'm really
I
looking
did-
forward to a big night going sticky this one, sticky that one, because it was spent the phase on both of them.
Yep.
I mean, I definitely won one of the games of the RTT over the weekend because a challenger card let me just scoot a unit from a 6-inch deep strike 1 inch away from somebody. No, that's not what happened. No, it was 3 points from the card. Yeah, that's what it was.
I've yet to pick up my Primus unit in GSE yet, but the day I do, it's gonna be a war crime, and I cannot wait.
As it should be.
I got Advance in Charge in World Eaters the other day. I was pretty excited.
You're like,
See,
"Ooh,
every Emperor's Children player I
earlier
played is
edition."
on Advance in Charge.
No.
The poor Death Card player when I played AJ in round 4 drew on his turn 2 challenger card, drew an action outside 18 of any of his units while entirely pinned in his deployment zone by the line of 15 Deathwing Knights. It was pretty rough. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do that. I'm like, I know you're not. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
God, I love challenger cards.
I do. I actually kind of like challenger cards. I think they're fun.
I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
They've
I
broadly
don't think they're not as egregious in flipping games as some of the other attempts at trying to bring back mechanics.
they're
of the
not
game
secret
are,
missions.
but they're also occasionally very egregious.
The,
Most of the-
they're different.
yeah,
You can't play around a challenger card past like, I hope I'm not up by 6, right?
You can do the like, hey, this one that's really easy, I'm gonna make it hard for you. Like you can be like, you could like pretend. you're
Not
playing
even
around
that.
with-
That's not what I'm talking about. The
Okay.
part of challenger cards that's fucked up is not the 3 points. The 3 points is like a mild irritant. And if that's all a challenger card was, fucking fair enough. I think that'd be fine. The stratagems, however, is where shit goes off the fucking rails. And that's where bad stuff happens, right? Like, you know, some form of greater demon thing gets moved through walls or suddenly can advance and act. That
Or
shit,
moves these additional inches, or yeah.
that shit is bad. And sometimes accounts for significantly more than a 20-point swing, right?
If it's a 20-point swing, something bad has happened. But yes,
But like it can be that or more depending on what happened, right? You've never seen a rhino get wrapped off extra movement from a challenger card and then been like, sorry, bro, 300 points, live in that rhino this turn.
Valley Consolidation's nasty for that one.
Yeah,
Pulling
there's
that
a bunch of
was
them.
a highlight.
Yeah.
I mean, the D6-inch move one is really good. I got extra movement on another card, and then I got move through walls once. It's like,
How did you
If
get
you're-
challenger cards? You were just talking about how you were winning all these
I
games
was-
by
I
tabling the
was
person
down-
on 3.
I was
He's
down
playing
on
fixed,
primary.
bro. What do you mean?
I was down on primary for the first 3 battle rounds, and so I drew multiple challenger cards in several games.
So like that's another example of why these things fucking suck.
You shouldn't be allowed to draw challenger cards if you're going second.
You just
I-
shouldn't.
The honest truth of it is I would sacrifice early primary to get my opponent a little bit forward and then just smash the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
And I did it repeatedly, and it allowed me to draw multiple challenger cards in battle rounds 2 and 3, where I then use those to fucking throat kick my opponent.
Yep. Yeah, that shit happens all the
it's so
time.
hard.
I've
It's
seen
so
that
hard.
happen
can
so
also
many
happen-
times.
That can also happen and is very funny because that did happen during my first game where I was like, so I'm going to score all the primary now, but I am behind on the score at the top of the battle round.
I think-
so.
Yeah, I think it does a really bad job of even what it's trying to do, which is why I hate them so much. Like, I didn't like secret missions because they were just like toxic, right? Just a bad top to bottom. Oops, we fucked up. Release ones. This one frustrates me in a new and exciting way, where not only should it be okay to lose a game that you're losing, this doesn't even fix that. Half the time, if you're losing, it just makes it worse, and that is not good.
I will say, even though challenger cards gave me advantages in those games, I was already going to win them based off board state in those situations. It just made it faster.
That's not good.
It just made it faster. So much
Winning
faster.
but faster is nothing the 4K usually needs.
I could just move Scarbrand closer to a unit of Scarab Occult Terminators that he then proceeded to murder.
I don't like that. Like 3 of them are just move D6 extra. Like that one, that bugs me. But
It working on
Well,
stuff out of reserve too. Come on.
that's just, again, we bitch about this like every week though, right? Shit that came in from reserve just shouldn't be allowed to do other stuff after that. It's like you're there, dude. Roll a charge. That's it. It's all you get.
Yeah.
You don't need to move D6 extra. You don't need to fire and fade. You don't need to teleport Bahar off. Just stay. You deep struck. Roll a 9. And it should be a 9, not a 6. Come on.
Yeah.
No,
look,
every deep strike should be 6 inches for charging purposes. That's just how I look at it now.
no, they should not.
I hope the GSC detachment is just the old. You know, GSC used to have the deep strike rule that you could just 6-inch and shoot, or 9-inch and shoot, or an 8-inch charge with everything. And GSC was just that for the new detachment.
I mean, they should all instead get the what is it? Like you come in at 9 and then move D6 after. That should be the
Yeah.
GSC detachment rule.
It used to be you would roll a dice, and on a 5 you would move D6 or shoot, and on a 6 you'd normal move. I think it should be that.
Sure. Whatever.
You can move D6 or shoot on setup.
They can put in literally whatever they want. I hope the most fucked up books of all time come out in September. Like just shit that makes 9th look like nothing. Like more DACA garbage compared to the unholy horrors that come out in September and onwards.
You just want to make sure the LVO is an awful viewing experience for everyone.
Whatever. It's not
Or
going
else
to be
it's
good no matter
great.
what.
Or else-
So
or else
fuck
it's gonna
it.
be great fun.
The army should get gargoyles rule across the entire army. Just
Yeah, there you go. That'll
6
be
after
good.
shooting the whole thing.
So, I think the Chaos Knight build that stood out to me the most is like the one that Mike Pestilence was talking about, which is the 3 Abominants, 2 Rampagers, 1 Despoiler with the teleport.
Yeah.
I saw him playing that a bunch. It looks very powerful. I've seen a few versions of it that like trade in and out for, you know, a couple of War Dogs or some Beast and Ardle and some things like that. Looking forward to seeing what happens to the Forge World Knights, because dear God, I'm a little worried about what happens to Lancers and Atroposes and all that. Because
In
they're
their
still quite good
sense.
data sheets. I don't know if anybody noticed that. So it'll be interesting to see what direction those go. Oh my god, it's Kitty!
I've been seeing a lot of people be very excited about Chaos Atroposes in various channels. So
I mean,
Yeah.
there's that.
It's pretty easy to get excited about, you know?
It's a pretty good data sheet.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited to play Chaos Knights a bit based off of the book. Like I have Knights, and that's an easy weapon swap away to make them all Chaos Knights for the littles.
Yes, correct.
It's just a 3D printed bit, and you're good to go with armatures. But bigs are really easy to make Chaos Knights out of. You're just like, look, all these guys, they're just Chaos Knights now.
Yeah.
Just pretend you don't see Aquilas on them. It's fine.
They're just recently fallen.
Yeah, there you go.
They fell really soon.
This is my
after
Renegade
something.
Knights army. They've only just become Renegades.
I will say, it was at Ottawa. Rickard was saying that who's one of our patrons had made 3D printables for one of his friends that just said "I'm evil," so you could put them onto the new Chaos Knights, so that people knew they were Chaos Knights because they just have little thought or speech bubbles that said "I'm evil" on them, basically, which I thought was quite a vibe.
Perfect.
I think that's an appropriate way to do it. Yeah, I think what is it? Harbingers of Dread, the base detachment Dreadlords, seems to be the default best one. -1 damage. We were bitching about it last week, like on
Oh,
repeat.
that's Lords of Dread, yeah.
Lords
That's
of
not-
Dread. Yeah.
That's the big knights support
Yeah,
one.
Dread Lords with big knights with -1 damage in the sticky 5 strat. It feels like it's the only strat you're going to use. It's the only strat you're going to need.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
press that button, dude. Just
And then CPU reroll on your charges.
Yep.
And a bit of tank shock.
I think the Infernal one where you take D3 mortals is also pretty good because you can get a 5 up invul and then a 6 up feel no pain that works in melee combat.
Pretty good. It's
Or you
probably
can
not
just
better
take
than
knights
-1
that-
damage.
you just take knights that have a 5 of
True.
invul.
You could also do that, yes. Oh no. I'm really excited to see what that book does. And
I'm
it
really
makes
excited
me
to see it on the
excited.
tables next to me.
I don't know. I'm excited to see also what it means for the Imperial Knights book, because this book feels like it was crafted pretty lovingly and it feels very flavorful, and we'll see if that also translates.
Man, watching the
Imperial
way
Knight
the
book.
CK players reacted to it, you wouldn't think that, would you?
I read that rule and I was like, wow, this is like a super cool return to like very flavorful rules.
Yeah.
They've also got
Like
just like stealth, basically.
Also, the rules are good. I don't know. Everybody complained immediately, and I was like, but
Oh,
guys,
yeah.
this is great.
The
I really-
they still have fucking Wrath of fucking Vengeance for Cadia.
I would do pretty wild shit to have a rule as cool as this. Like the World Eater rule is good, but it's not cool.
Yeah, it has very little like very little texture to it, right? Like it's just a thing you do at the start of the turn. You're
Yeah.
like, that's the thing that I have now. There's not a lot of like, this is a
Yeah.
thing that impacts what's going on. It doesn't have a lot of like engagement with the gameplay to sort of like feel, right? I know there's a word for this, but I'm struggling for it. Where a lot of armies have like this very real like like Ultramarines, like Space Marines, I think Ultimate Moment is like the dog shit is rule for that, right? It's just your fucking point click more damage, right? It's a rule with very poor.
Yeah, the opposite of Oaths is actually Dark Packs, where like Dark Packs affect a bunch of the datasheet rules and like flow through the book in a bunch of like interesting ways that do a bunch of
And
shit.
they have a lot of like in-depth, like you feel like you're playing, like they have a good texture to them. That's kind of the word I'm going to use. I like resurgence points with GSE feel very similar, right?
Yeah.
Like there is an actual, like it's a mechanic that you feel on the table that has a lot of interaction that impacts how you play. Whereas and then Doom and the Chaos Knight one feels in between, right? I think it's not as bad as Oath, but it's definitely not as good as some of the best ones. Rules got a good mouth feel. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. I think Tessa Testarossa in our chat has the right of it, which is
Contagions is another example, right? Absolute banger of a rule.
You can't trust 40k players because half of the T-Suns player base is still convinced their book is trash tier, which is just not true. The Thousand Suns book is great. And like you just can't. And then they went on to say and said the half that hasn't sold their army right after the leaks came out. I was like, folks, that book is really good. Just maybe
be cool.
you don't just be cool. Just play the things that are good in it and don't try to play the snowflakey things as much, and you will enjoy your experience, I think, a lot better.
Yeah.
I think like 18-inch low out bows. That's great. What do you want?
TJ's not playing 27 goats because he likes the models, right?
That's true.
Mhm. All right. What do we want to talk about next? We've talked about CK a little bit. Do we want to talk about mission pack stuff like a little bit more? Maybe
Hidden supplies is
plots?
really fun.
Hidden supplies is cool. Hidden
I really
supplies
like
is
hidden
cool.
supplies.
New terraform's all right. It's not great, but it's
I
fine.
I didn't catch that it scores on both turns for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah.
I don't like that bit. That bit bugs me, but
I mean that bit means that you don't just both score like 6 primary for the game. If it works the other way, this primary in that mission is a dumpster fire. Guess how I know? Because I played it wrong a bunch of times.
yeah, me too. I played a bunch of games with it that was like, oh, this isn't that bad. And now I just like walk out and terraform for the objectives on turn one. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. Now terraforms are a high priority thing to stop, which
Makes
you
sense.
know probably should be. So
New ritual's a goddamn disaster.
I will never play it.
You shouldn't. I played one game of it. I don't do it again.
I'm
Why
just
why
outright
is there
telling you, not gonna end up playing it.
playing new ritual against thousand swords is an exercise in true abject misery, by the way.
Yeah, I
don't
believe
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
Don't recommend. I don't play Persiphone anymore as well. That's really nice. Like I like Persiphone, but I don't really
New
play
Ritual
it.
isn't in the pack is a good call out. So you can just ignore
I think
it.
Purge is on Dawn of War only, which means no one event should ever
It's
have to play
also
it.
fake.
Don't
Love
play
that.
Dawn of War. Don't play Dawn of War. We're going to talk about. Someone asked a bunch of questions about the UKTC mission packs, so we'll talk about it later. But don't play Dawn of War and don't play Super Engagement. Your tournaments, guys. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. No one's having fun.
Yeah. I as the noted, go first rushdown enjoyer, Dawn of War and Sweeping are both just
the worst.
just real bad, awful, no good deployment zones.
18 Thunderwolves, and I keep looking at the UKTC maps and going like, what if I just play 18 Thunderwolves, man? Like,
Good.
what's
Sure, you could get them real cheap too from the people
round
that thought they were
1
gonna
and
get
4?
legends.
Round 1 and 4 are Dawn of War, bro. Like, yeah. What changed with the ritual, Gustavo, is that the side objectives don't go away anymore. They're just all
They're just
5 of them,
there.
and you make more.
It's a
WC
lot.
Shadowrun will still be servo skulls. Yeah, I can believe it.
Yeah, I mean WCW is a fucking mess, so probably.
Just a reminder, you can actually shoot with big knights. Yeah, I know. Terraform is a mess. For big knights are just a mess, right? Like we've been saved from the game by them being kind of bad for a long time.
Yeah.
And then they've been kind of okay for a while, and people still bitch about them, but people still play.
Dude, when you catch a towering lately, you have that happen to you, just the
dude.
downtown round the corner angle, and you're like, no.
Yeah, unfortunately, I really don't love having to spend 5 minutes of my opponent's shooting phase borrowing their model to see where they can get to.
Yeah.
Like, and if this pivots on this angle and rotate, I'm like,
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I can see you through like the top floor of the WC small L or some shit like that on an angle that you didn't think existed because it doesn't.
It's a real shame, dude.
I miss an old new tower before it worked on
Old new tower.
Old new tower
When it was just bad.
Yeah. I miss towering sucking. Big Knights again. I know it's too late to put the genie back in the bottle, but I really wish Chaos Knights were like you can only run 1 big knight and 4 small knights, and it was like you get 1,000 points of these in any other Chaos army, and that was it. I wish.
Too late
Just
now.
realize, yeah.
Yeah, big knights are also two drops, yes, so you can't even outdrop them.
Yeah, that caught me off guard a little bit. Randomly, somebody was like, yes, these each count as 2 drops. And I was like, what? My brain
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
like
froze for a
buried
moment
in
and
the
stalled out.
pamphlet.
Mhm.
I forget every time, so I was like, yeah, it's 2 drops. I'm like, oh yeah, so it is. I mean, you can play Bring It Down Assassinating against Big Knights, but like, if you were going to kill 6 of them, you were going to win the game anyway, bro. Like, help if you get tables.
I think that, in general, a good way to soften the blow against Big Knights is to play Bring It Down Assassinate. It lets you be real focused in your game plan of what you're trying
definitely,
to do.
if you were going to get 3, you're definitely going to get 6 by playing that. If you were going to get 0, you're still getting 0, bro.
Yeah, but no army should get 0. No competently built army showing up at a tournament should kill 0 Big Knights. That should not happen.
No, I mean like 0, not get 0 on the points.
Oh,
On
I mean, like,
differential.
if you were going to get 0, like a 20-0 anyway, you playing Bid Assassinate isn't going to stop you getting 20-0.
that's kind of what I'm getting at, though. I think even like a team's list that got trapped against them should not get 0 into 6 bigs.
You would think that.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope, like if we played against a comp and any player on our starting roster came back with a 0 against 6 bigs, I'd be like, what the fuck did you do?
It's like, yeah, but sorry, unless you like went second on the wrong tipping point map or something like that, like I could
Yeah.
see it. There were like, all right, sure, but yeah. Yeah, you do get your challenger card, so you can do actions against the Chaos Knight army that's pushing at you. It's
Right.
exactly what I want to do.
Or you could draw, oops, I'm
Grenade.
lethal.
Draw grenade.
That made Mortarion the best Primarch, so fair enough.
And then I do like that they ripped out some of the other missions from the pack, because like Unexploded Ordnance isn't in the mission pack anymore. So
Burden of Trust is mostly gone.
Burden of Trust is completely gone. I don't think it's in the pack.
Good.
It's no Ritual, no Burden of Trust, and no Unexploded Ordnance, I believe. I think those are the 3 that they kicked out.
Just like a nice little rotation of Terraform, Lynchpin, Scorched Earth.
I mean, there's a bunch of primary missions that work, like Hidden Supplies, Take and Hold,
Yeah.
Scorched Earth, Lynchpin. Like, you can go down and down and down. You go over that a bunch. You could play a 10-round tournament with good primary missions, playing just, like, Search and Destroy and Crucible, and it would be totally fine.
I still think tipping's fine.
Tipping is fine when you're not playing on WTC boards.
I think the WTC boards are fine, personally.
The WTC tipping boards are a dumpster fire.
And I'll join the chorus of saying that Terraform is better, a lot better now, especially because now you can un-Terraform objectives, so you can actually like kind of participate in an exchange with your opponent.
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
Instead of getting boxed in and just never getting to participate.
Yeah. And also Burden is apparently gone from the thing, which would
Good.
be sick if it's true.
No Unexploded Ordnance, Burden, or Ritual. I think Purge is only there once and Supply Drop's only there once, or something in that vein.
Yeah.
It's not a ton.
Reasonable.
I think I have it right
Reasonable.
I don't know why it took us 3 years, but reasonable.
All right. Can we talk about this UKTC thing? I need somebody to explain it to me.
We're going to look at it when we get to the
with
question about it, because there's a
crayons.
question about it, and I don't want to answer it too early.
Also, it's not done yet, so it's a little
it's not
unfair.
Done yet. I don't want to judge it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was meant to call this episode "What if we kissed the UKTC Mega Ruin?" Forgot about that.
That's what you were supposed to call, so we could give it the image.
Purge is there
as
3
well.
times. Ugh, disgusting.
All right, we'll do it for next week. Next week we'll use the cover image and name.
No, we're not doing that. There will be news. Surely there'll be news for next week.
Hopefully.
Purge is there 3 times, according to Jeremy.
Ew.
So there's lots of Purge.
We shouldn't play Purge. Purge is bad.
I
They're what,
agree
like-
that Purge is not a good mission, but
No, we just
There are
to get
20
layout 6 off
possible
the list
missions.
for
You can just
games,
drag
actually.
out 3 or something. It's fine.
Layout 6 is awful. It should never be played. Fuck Layout 6. Let me hold my expansion, bro. All right. Should we do questions?
Yes.
Cool. That means I need to do plugs. All right, guys. If you are an hour into the show, you're probably enjoying it enough to do us a solid and leave a like, a comment, and subscription. All the usual things down in the box below. It really does help us out with making sure that people get to see more of our content, and help us keep bringing you all the stuff you like. If you want to support us more and you're in a position to be able to support us financially, you could also check out patreon.com/statcheck or check us the YouTube membership program in the link below. And you can chuck us a couple $5 a month. That gets you access to our Discord server, gets you access to the Vibe Check League tournaments, as well as the ability to chat with us and everything. Nathan and I were both posting kill tallies for the Lion and Scarred round over the weekend in the event channel. You can ask us questions about any of those that we're playing at the moment, all that good stuff in the Patreon below. If you'd like to see any of the other shows on the network, you can check out youtube.com/statcheck. That's Take Out Comers and The Matrix, X1, and Champions of 40K. You can find all their back episodes and live episodes of ourselves and Take Out Comers at youtube.com/statcheck. We're live every Tuesday at 11 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Eastern, and various other times around the globe. If you want to hear more of our shit talking and chattery. If your Discord won't sync, drop at Curie a message on Discord. He should be able to hook you up and get you connected. Otherwise, sorry. Try again. If you'd like to see from any of our sponsors, you can find J15 Games, Saltar Games, Whale Yutani, and Red Dragon, all in description below. You'll also find various discount codes, including the Patreon discount code for Red Dragon, which will get you access to 15% off their entire store. And I think it's 15% off 40K and 20% off of GW stuff and 20% off of everything else, but don't quote me on that one.
That's correct.
So that's for Patreon members only and YouTube membership. And thank you to all of them for sponsoring us. Lastly, if you would like to get support from any of our coaches, you can check out coaching@stat-check.com or drop us an email at stat-check.com/coaching. Probably one or the other way around. And you can get in touch with any of the various coaches on the StatCheck network who I'm not naming today because I can't be bothered. Otherwise, thank you very much for enjoying the show. We're going to get into the questions. And as always, there are two good ways to get your questions answered on the show and one feasible way. The first one is to leave a super chat on the YouTube show on the live episodes, youtube.com/statcheck. And the second is to be a Patreon member in the Discord and leave it in the show thread. The third, tenuous way, is just ask a really good question, but we can't guarantee we'll get to those because times and places. All right. Nathan, take us away.
All right. Before we get into stuff, there's something that I meant to announce at the beginning of the episode. As it is June and it is Pride Month, similar to last year, we are doing another charitable run for 3 different charities that focus on LGBTQ plus issues. They are Rainbow Railroad, which works in North America, the Prism Foundation, which is out of Chicago and works in the United States, and then Mermaids, which is a UK-based charity. So we're going to take all the money that we make from the Patreon account, as well as all the Super Chat money, as well as all of any other donations we essentially get, and we are going to split those between the 3 charities, and then we will do a little announcement at the end to let everybody know how much we get to donate to all of them. It is very important, especially in current political moments, that we do all that we can to support those who are vulnerable. And so, as per last year, we're going to walk the walk and talk the talk for it, and do what we can to support those charities this year. All right. On to things. I'm going to do the super chats first because otherwise it's going to get a little bit crazy in here. Thank you to brother Tobias for the €5 super chat. I saw multiple 5-man Blood Angel units stare at a 3 sticky midboard on turn 5, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. And then also a 2-1 from the same person. Thank you, brother Tobias, which is played 8 Gladius games since Slate. 0 changes.
Pretty much. Gladius doesn't really need to change. It was a good army. It's still a good army.
And then the last one is from James Manlangit. Thank you for the New Zealand $1 dues. What are recommended units to look at if I wanted to run generic Marines and non-Ultramarines?
Vindicators, Ballistus Dreadnoughts.
How do you feel about salamanders?
Gladiator Reefer.
Names all of the non-Ultramarine components of the Ultramarine.
Don't look at Kev Zollinger's Gladius list that plays Shrike and Vanvet and JPIs alongside Ballistus Dreadnoughts and Gladiator Reapers and Vindicators. It's not super complicated. Like, it's a good list. It's not crazy, but it's pretty solid. But yeah, it's mostly just the shit that you think it would be, unfortunately. Warhammer's not a super complicated game. The good data sheets are good for a reason, and you should probably just play them.
There are more starred chats in here than I remembered. Ben McJurick, member for 5 months celebration. Can you rank 10th catch-up mechanics by your favorite to least personal favorite?
I think we did this last week, right?
Yeah, I think that's
all right.
old.
These ones might be from last week. All right, I'm going to unclick them so that I don't get confused anymore. All right, now we're going to go to the questions thread, which has 28 messages in it, and it terrifies me to look at.
And this is probably just going to do that.
All right. Next one is first question is from Willow. Should it be mandatory for players who register the Zangor's detachment to buy their opponents a meal?
No. It's kind enough of them to register the wrong Thousand Sons detachment and give them hope of a win.
They don't have the fucking Vortex of Eptaph or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
The Disney Vortex of Epcot. I think
that's the pain, suffering, fucking... God, Berserker Glaive had to die so that Vortex could be this still. God damn it.
Look, if I can't have fire discipline, why do they get to have fun?
That's what I'm saying.
It's true.
Let me have 10 man Desses with fire discipline back, and I'll be okay with Arcane Vortex. Mostly because he'll be dead by turn 2. But
I have a feeling how it managed to sneak through is whoever wrote the rules was like, if I change the name of it, they'll forget the other one existed.
And they didn't even change it that much.
They just changed all they did was it went from being like Arcane Vortex, like your mate down the pub, to using its government name.
Yeah.
All right. The next 2 questions are from Frank. My next major singles event isn't until November, and I want to keep repping games with the intent to practice for the event as much as possible. For GW layouts other than one, which layouts do you think will see the most adoption in events?
Oh, bro, I don't have a fucking clue. GW layouts, I swear they pick them by throwing stuff at a dartboard for tournaments most of the time.
Yeah.
Like the list for Edmonton was like 2, 3, 3, 5, 7, 8 or some shit like that.
The real question is just ask the organizer.
Yeah. I played at the RTT all one layout. We played layout 1 for all 3 missions.
I do that for the RTTs I run. All 3 games will pretty much always be on layout 1 because it's the only balanced. It's the most balanced of the layouts.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of events that are just 2-day events do like a day on one layout and a day on a different layout or something like that, just because it's easier to set up.
Yeah, I just hate it when it's 6 as the backup one. God.
Sure, yeah, that's bad.
And then the second
6
question
Crucible, God.
The second question from Frank is, who did Vic Vijay hurt so badly that GW decided to not only drop the points enough to make 6 bigs feasible, give them more wounds, but also base half the detachments around mono big knights lists?
I don't know, but it's probably his fault. I agree. We should blame Vic.
Vic's playing
We
T-Suds.
should
I don't
blame
think he
Vic.
cares.
It's just very funny
Oh,
to
are
listen
you
to
adorable?
Vic complain about
Whoa, she's Magnus,
needing-
fucker.
Yeah.
Is Magnus 6? Oh, wow. Does he
Well-
on sticky objectives?
Well, Magnus's OC is whatever yours is, greater than +6, right? Because he's just your dead and 6.
Exactly.
Thank you, Ben, for the $5 super chat. Why do individual faction channels think they have great play into T-Suns? I'm confused. There appears to be zero fear.
Most T-Suns players are bad.
That's a huge part of it, right? Like, even then, people will be like, I practiced it and it was fine. And it's like, maybe. I believe that to be true.
I believe that you think that your matchup in 2000 is pretty good.
It's the same as last WTC, which is the same as the WTC before that. Where, like, dude, I bet even, I would wager that, like, 90% of the time, it's probably all right. But
We go to WTC. This ain't the tournament of people who are all right.
yeah.
Yeah, I will say I was very fortunate in my T-Suns matchup in the RTT that it was playing Rubrikai Phalanx and there was no Magnus. So it was a much simpler matchup where I didn't have to worry about...
Bet I've got a great matchup into that.
Yeah, got a much better matchup into that. No Magnus meant that like Greater Demons didn't fucking vanish in a puff of smoke if they poked around a corner.
To be fair, Magnus does that to Greater Demons a little less.
Not really.
A lot less, but a little less.
Not
a little.
No, he doesn't.
Hey, look, they don't
Maybe
always
a
have
little.
2CP.
Yeah, they do. They
I
get
know.
one in your turn that they don't use on anything.
They Overwatch you, right?
No. Why would
I'm really
they
trying
do
to-
that?
I don't know, man. I'm really trying to work on like this whole positivity thing.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. Sometimes maybe they will do that and they won't have 2 CP and your Greater Demon will be alive on 5 wounds or something and limp across the battlefield to get killed by flamers.
By that aforementioned Overwatch.
Yeah, by that aforementioned Overwatch when they touch an objective.
Yeah.
All right. The next 2 questions are from Dan Johnson. What do the gang think about the beta UKTC map release in general?
Do you want to start?
It's not done. I hate doing this with stuff that isn't done. This is like when everyone freaked out about the Plague Marine thing in WTC that never even saw the light of day. It's
The beta release that they put out to ask feedback on doesn't look that great.
yeah.
I think that it's very very open in a lot of places that it doesn't need to be open. And the fascination with putting that big ruin in the mid board has suddenly created a whole different suite of problems from it being in the backfield, which is that it's really hard to stage on it because it's very open from the sides. And there's not a lot of terrain in your deployment zone now as a result of it moving out in a lot of missions. And that creates some interesting angles across the board. I'm going to throw up a quick screen share because Doug was kind enough to make one. So this is a comparison of the various rounds. So that should be there. Let me zoom in a little bit. Right, hopefully that is reasonably readable. There we go. So so round 1, it's gone from being this kind of generally fairly staggered deployment to this like weird super ruin in the center with very little actual terrain in your deployment zone. Right, there's only like half of this ruin, this ruin on your home objective, which admittedly is more or less the same as this one, and then this ruin that's just outside it, but does still leave some fairly like weird angles available to it. Still playing Terraform. Round 2, still playing Purge the Foe. It's gone to being a very again, very little terrain in your deployment zone, right? Like half of this ruin that's kind of awkwardly positioned, and then this massive gaping staging dead zone, which I always think is an interesting choice on the UKTC Crucible maps. Round 3 Taken Hold, we've got, I think the Taken Hold map is broadly fine, with the exception that, wow, these side objectives are very exposed. I think there was an updated version of it that pushes these sort of side ones a couple of inches forward so that there's like at least theoretically some staging on them. I think this is an interesting choice, especially with it being hidden supplies. Round 4 being Lynchpin, I think this has the same issues, and then round 5 obviously a repeat. The missions they've chosen are broadly fine. I think we could do without it being purgeful. I think broadly that this would be better as
Anything else?
Yeah, like we're not playing Take and Hold, right? Would be the one that I would suggest swapping this one in for,
Sure.
and then just playing like the good 5 missions. But yeah, broadly, I'm not a huge fan of them. I think they're the idea of putting this terrain into the midfield opens up a bunch of, also this ruin is tall, like it opens up plunging fire and things like that in a way that just like hasn't existed in the midfield
Oh
on UKTC
no.
boards. So like, you know, 10 swooping hawks that can fire and fade off the top of it, or dark reapers or gene stealer called neophytes, like 6-inch dropping on top of it and shooting down, right? Like it opens up a bunch of that in a way that hasn't existed, and a way that
No.
typically doesn't exist. That suddenly is like kind of messy, and I think we could do without. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of them as a whole, but hopefully you could still get some feedback from leads, and it'll all be fixed by LGT.
Yeah,
I think it's hard to criticize a beta that is doing the exact thing that they want a beta to do, right? Which is they release it to the community to get feedback so they can make adjustments. It's good to provide the feedback, but it's good that they asked for feedback in the first place.
It's more that like they asked for feedback. Like I don't think Zach's gonna be like, all right, bro, need to fix my train set. Let me open up Stat Check and see what the boys had to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nobody's looking to us to fix it, but they are looking to the UKTC.
I hope that the people who are playtesting for Leeds, the event that's in a couple of weeks, have the opportunity to play a bunch of it and give some feedback, and then have it updated for Leeds, and then they go to Leeds, and then they get a bunch more feedback from Leeds, and that leads into LGT.
Look,
I'm not going to Leeds. I'm not going to do a bunch of playtesting for this tournament pack because I'm not going to Leeds. So
I would say pretty comfortably of the largest TOs that the UKTC is the most open to feedback and makes the most adjustments.
I would probably agree, yeah.
Outside of like the WTC, who occasionally gets strangled by the captains into doing something else. But, you know.
That doesn't feel like listening, though.
I mean, you know, the end goal's the same. The thing changes, right? It's fine.
Sure. All right. The next question from Dan is more... no, that's just the second question. That's just more details on the first question, which is what we did, basically.
It's going to be really... The question that I was asking is, what do you kind of change? I think they want your expansion objective to be fucking miserable to hold, and that they want Death Guard and Guard to win every tournament. But maybe they're just like, this will stop Josh winning with Blade Guard.
I mean, the problem with trying to stop Josh is that Josh is a really well-connected, extremely high-level player that could just switch.
Yeah, I know.
Right,
so he'll just play the other thing he thinks is best.
I think that's someone said this in the YouTube channel. The next catch-up mechanic's just going to be if you're down 20 points, Josh plays your next turn for you.
Sweet, yeah. If they could sort that out, if Josh the Sanguinor Roberts can come in and save you.
If you draw that challenger card, that's what happens. Actually,
yeah.
It like sends up a beacon, and Josh teleports in next to you to fix everything.
Yep.
They give one of those to the person that wins WCW every year.
Yeah, you get one chance.
You fucking orbital call Josh in like the Slayer from fucking Doom.
Yeah.
You have to put on a GoPro.
Yeah.
He'll ratatouille you, yes, from afar.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Jeff Death Company Forklift asks, still the best name ever. Thank you for continuing to use it. If you could get rid of challenger cards for a whole tournament, however, each game started with a random twist card active, would you do it?
No.
Nope, not at all. Random? We ain't doing random. If it's swift action, we'll do it. I'm okay with that. That's about the only one.
Yeah.
All right. The next one is from Magnus Did Nothing Wrong 4690. Make sure to update your name to our service standards, please. I appreciate you being a Patreon member, but please update it to your first name. What up, fam? Had our first 8-man team event this past weekend at ACO, and it was awesome. All of us are hooked. We took 6, going 3-3. TLDR, how do you handle updating your matrix with short notice changes? And how do I stop feeling like shit for letting my team down?
You don't. That's just gonna happen.
I would like make sure that you actually let your team down, right? Like if you just like binned it in good matchups, you know, whoops, you know, shit happens. But But if you just like lost games, I mean,
People
if they
lose
weren't
games.
marked as good games, then fucking so be it.
And if you did, talk to your team, communicate, make
Yeah.
some steps, be like, hey, I didn't do as well as I wanted to that event. Can we work on, helping me do better or taking a better list, right? Use your
Right.
team, use your community, right? That's the.
And then what's the best way to update your matrix with short notice?
I would
Play a
recommend
lunch.
not having your phone save the changes and then having Brian change your matrix into all 20s. So you have to last minute scramble and then the pairing team biffs your pairing.
That was all Brian's fault, to be fair.
And
And did you get a 10 that game?
If you're not going to do that, the big thing is to just take into context like the mission, right? The mission each round changes your matrix to some extent. I think that doing that is like the hard part, right? Being like, oh wait, does this actually change how I have to engage with this? And the only answer to that is you have two options basically: hellacious grind to make sure all of your data is correct. Potentially a thing you could do. You'll get really good if you do that, or vibe it, and it's probably not that big of a deal. And you just try and get like a vague approximation, and then account for the details.
Thing you need to remember in this situation is that the other teams that you're playing against, unless you're playing against Art of War or StatCheck or Vanguard or someone like that, are in the exact same boat as you are, and their information is wrong too. And you just have to kind of hope that it nets out across your round and that you don't get scammed too hard one way or the other.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sweat it too hard. You just kind of have to go with, all right, this got better, this got worse. Try to update your assumptions based on how the metagame shifted, and then
also do your matrices kind of broad, like bad matchup, good matchup, okay matchup. That's it. More than that, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, you really don't need to be predicting higher than 13s and lower than 7s under normal circumstances, which means you can probably just go with win, loss, draw ish.
And then some of the details of the question are that the event changed to new missions with less than 2 weeks notice. And with the new books, it was a bunch of different changes. But I think being broad is a good way to address that.
I don't feel like the new missions changed a ton, but...
It depends on what missions you're playing, right? Like new hidden supplies is like, you actually have to fight.
Post the teams event, you can also always try to see if you can share matrices with some of the other teams and kind of see like if there are new things you can do for your matrix.
You could do that like after the round as well. Like if you got time over lunch and stuff, just be like, hey, do you guys have your matrix? You mind if we like have a login and stuff like that, or like swap and stuff like that? Like
also, if you're just like lost, use the dashboard.
Yep,
that too.
All right, we're going to go on to the next question because we have a lot of these today. Henry the Wizard asks, what's your favorite Pokemon? Wow, Innes got so mad or is so excited to show us something, and
he's probably just got it somewhere.
What is it, Innes? What is your favorite Pokemon?
I lost it. I have a Phanpy full art card. Phanpy's my favorite Pokemon.
Garchomp is my favorite Pokemon. I love a land shark dragon. It makes me happy.
Totally fair.
Yeah. Tyrunt.
It's a good one too. I like that one a lot.
All right. I also have I have a Gundam Pikachu on my shelf as well.
I fucking love that.
Like the actual like the Gundam construction kit one.
Oh yeah.
Whew. I like that. All right. Paul has the next question, which is Infernal or Dread for Chaos Knights on GW terrain. The Infernal buff seems very important to both getting your damage, etc., but the Sticky 5, OC, Strat, and -1 damage are game warping.
I would just play Dread if I wanted to play Knights, because you get to just stomp about doing fucked up strat things with your fucked up strat.
Yeah, that feels like the right answer. Goran has the next question, which is, what do you think about BCP going after their competition? Did BCP go after their competition?
Like they shut down a few army track and stuff like that. People who were scraping their data, the same as they shut us down for a bit. But
yeah,
I get it. They're a for-profit company, but
yeah, you should work with the business and not ding their business model if you want to use their shit.
Yeah, I also don't think they actively went out for their competition. They went out for people who were scraping their shit without permission and like using up and
I don't think it was their It wasn't their competition.
Yeah, like they're not going after other tournament sites, right? Like I don't think they're going after New Recruiter or anyone like that. But
it's hard to occasionally. Yeah, go for it, Dennis.
I'm strongly in favor of like free and open information, right? Like I think it's if anything ever got hit, like Goonhammer doing the competitive innovations articles, right, where they go through the event results, like here is what won tournaments this week, right? If they were ever doing that, going after that, people doing like the fair use kind of stuff, I think I would have a problem with it. But for the time being, as much as I find things like Army List RMZ to be super useful, Goonhammer does have a lot of that data on their website as well, and they are paying for it for the access to it. And I think that it's okay if there's a limitation on how much you can see the full granularity of everything going on right now.
Yep.
I don't know. It's still better than it used to be back in the day where you had to hope someone posted the list on a forum. So,
yeah. The next question is from Isaac, which is what should I do if a stat check host is harassing me on my Facebook page? With a picture of Jeremy on their Facebook page.
We don't have a host called Jeremy. We have Curie, but I don't know this Jeremy
true.
person. So
yeah, you should message Cliff.
You should message Cliff.
You should copy Cliff's most recent message to you, actually.
Correct.
I hear you're good at that.
Would you take EC or K-Suns to a super major?
Yeah, probably.
Yes is a good answer.
Yes is a good answer to both, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I sure do think both of them could win a super major.
I would probably play the one that I'm not going to be bad at, though, which is EC.
Fair.
Like, I think I could go 7-1 with Thousand Suns pretty straightforwardly, just like almost on accident, honestly. But the EC would be my like one that I picked if I wanted to win.
That's reasonable. All right. The next question is from Bearded Horus, which is, what's your favorite psyop surrounding WTC of all time?
I think the successful Land Raider Redeemer Deathwing Knight hide by the like late Pyra nations was pretty king.
They didn't take it to Pyra.
Or yeah, but you did, right? Wasn't that it?
No one had it at Pyra.
Oh.
So Poland and us both took Deathwatch to that tournament.
Oh, and then
its performance,
yeah,
and we both went, wow, if Deathwatch was doing like that at Pyra, it must be garbage. And we both just dropped it and both independently went and played 10 Deathwing Knights.
Sure.
We didn't communicate. I didn't speak to Leisure about it at all.
Even funnier, that then.
I had Francois in my DMs being like, "What do you think about Death?" We're talking about Deathwatch. I'm like, "Yeah, I don't really like Deathwatch very much." It's just you never asked the question of, "So what are you playing?"
Right. Yeah.
I enjoyed last year's Magical Chaos Knights.
Oh yeah, we kept that one in the bunker for a minute.
And the second question from
Olivier's Black Templar's Horde is also pretty up there, right?
Right.
No one was ready for that shit.
Should we ask teams to declassify their psyops later to tell us about all the cool psyops they tried to pull?
No.
Okay.
It's part of the fun. Figure it out. Trace the crumbs.
And then Bryn asks, am I just being a negative of the meta, or does it seem to be becoming haves and have-nots with EC, DG, T-Sun, CK, Necrons, and Marines, basically?
Always was.
I think it's worse now than it was before the recent crop of releases, for sure. I wouldn't necessarily put CK in that list of halves. I think their rules are really cool, but I do think that like a lot of their rules are very vulnerable to just catching a blasting. Like, you know, all of those things that you just said basically could just be like, hello, poof, goodbye to Chaos Knights. So yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm, you know, over the years of doing this show have morphed into the negative Nancy that everyone feels is the Mr. Negative Man. But once upon a time, I was the beacon of positivity. But like, I think, yeah, it's hard to be excited about the current meta unless you play one of the armies that are doing the smashing. And I think, you know, part of the problem I think with regards to this is that, like, so you play one of those armies to get your foot in the door, and whereas what used to happen, like in 9th as an example, if you were playing one of the top 5 armies, you were kind of just like down to what happened when you guys played, like you and your opponent played. Whereas it feels like in 10th, you play one of those armies to get your foot in the door, and then you hope that you don't get just absolutely fucked by tactical and all the other stuff that goes into the game over top of it, now adding challengers to that, now revamping things to be into more of a power creep meta than we had, makes for a bit of a tough singles experience, I think. Unless you're playing something that has such a broad stroke matchup that has such, you're so specifically talented on, like Innis on GSC where you can repeat over and over again, kind of regardless of what the meta is, then you get to do that, right? But outside of that, it feels like a lot of these days, like playing something that is, essentially busted, like isn't like, oh, I'm going to play an even game against the meta. It's like, oh no, I still get rock, paper, scissors by those 3 armies that are actually also popular, and I have to not get fucked by like the deck and the dice and the terrain layout on the day of. And that's tough,
And playing the strongest armies just cleans up a lot more of that than playing the weaker armies does. Because you're introducing more volatility, right? There are just more armies you have a negative matchup into that you need something to go right for. You need the right mission, the right terrain, the right first turn.
Yeah.
Right. So playing stronger armies, just there are so many volatility factors that playing stronger armies just almost always gives you that, right? And then, or you can hyper specialize into 1 or 2 things, right?
Yep.
All right, John Johnson has the next question is, what can men do against such reckless hate, which is 6 big knights? Is it time to bust out the Neurogons and other garbage and just focus on penning them in with trash?
So I think if this list becomes like a thing that like actually infects the meta, what you see is like a glut of like the return of high damage lists, right? Like your CSM, like the stuff that just goes like, oh, my damage ceiling is actually just like the moon, right? Like the CSM pack bounds, the orc warhordes, the things of that like ilk, where they're just like, damage done. I got that bar crushed.
Holding
now I just have to
objectives,
figure out,
not my favorite bit, but
yeah, but killing you easy. And Lions Custodies, right? Stuff like that. That is just like, you're fucking dead. Now, those armies do have to figure out how to beat other stuff too. But if we were to see a big swing in like the knights being super popular, I think that's kind of the meta answer you're going to see for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what you will see is the armies that are already pretty good that can adapt to that will end up being the best.
Right.
Like T-Suns and Space Marines.
Yep.
All right. For Lucas E, we really talked about hidden supplies and Terraform a little bit earlier when we talked about missions. So if you go back just a little bit, you'll be able to hear our spiel about hidden supplies and Terraform and our experiences on it. Nick K asks, how would you build Blood Angels for GW terrain?
I wouldn't. Is like the sad but real answer.
It's definitely tougher.
I don't think they're a particularly good army on GW terrain. I'm gonna be honest. I think they're like the 3rd at best, but Marine chapter, maybe 4th. For GW terrain specifically.
Depends what layouts you're playing on, right? If you're playing on 7, 8, and 1, you're probably fine. You're playing a bunch of like 6 and 3. And
even on 1, dude, you just want to be
wolves.
Fine. Like you're worse than wolves and ultras on all of those tables. You might be better than salamanders on 178. Fair enough.
Sure.
You're probably still not better than Dark Angels. You get dog walked by Deathwing Knights as BA.
It's tough. Deathwing Knights make a lot of things go bye-bye.
Yeah. Particularly BA, right? So
if you're gonna do it, I think you just have to play like a minimum number of guns, right? Like I've seen a few versions of like double ball, double vindicator that feels a lot more that kind of space, but you're kind of still putting a hat on a horse.
Yeah. I would just go the other way. I would just take like as many jump packs dudes as you could fit. Like literally just like spam out the cheapest available jump pack dudes and be like, bodies into grinder.
How cheap Blood Angels are now, and looking at something like Stormlands Blood Angels and just be like, all right, man, everything just advanced charges.
Could do. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to do any fucking damage when you get there, but you could do.
I mean, if you're running some of the data sheets do a little more now baseline, right? Or they're cheap enough that you could just get like
it depends on what you take, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. Like I know Radford was playing like JPI squads with chaplains. Like it'd be kind of interesting with like 3 squads of them and Stormlands kind of thing. I don't know. I think like it's kind of getting away from itself a little bit, but
yeah.
Lag's still pretty good. I still like lag.
I agree.
9 Sanguinary Guard with characters is still a good start.
We're skipping Rickard's question, by the way.
Oh, we're
Oh, I think you could
skipping
probably
Richard.
just play Angelic, right? Like the Angelic build
Yeah.
is probably just final GW terrain.
Yeah, you could do something like that. It's challenging to find a shooting unit you're happy with now because I think the devs and stuff is like kind of awkwardly situated in the wider meta, like the thing that Jack was doing. But if Jack has content on this just at all, by the way, in the War Room, just go watch that. He's really good at Angelic Inheritors. He list rates it really well. Just go look.
All right, the next question then, since we're skipping Rickard's question, which is about dice, to John B, which is Centurion Karn from our YouTube chat. Hey guys, I just got drafted for my org's team event in September. Haven't done teams since like 2018. How different will teams lists be versus singles? I get a lot of singles games, but will that be transferable?
It is
A lot less than you want it to be. It can be like as different as you want it to be. You kind of don't have to worry about it that much.
I think it's going to be almost identical. Like the overwhelming majority of the wider community's interaction with teams is that they're just going to play like a singles event, but their success is tied to their homies. That's like the interaction for most folks, right?
The most thing you're going to have is you're going to be like, that thing you're bringing because it hedges against your bad matchup. You can just be like, hey, if I just don't hedge for my bad matchup, is that cool with everyone? And you can do that, right? You're like, hey, I'm bringing this because it makes my shooting matchup not miserable. And you're just like, well, I'm just not going to play against T-Suns, or I'm not going to play against, and you just let your team deal with it for you. That's about the most you'll get for the average person. You might, unless you're putting that like, hey, you're going to be our first defender, go and build a list that is just designed to shoot God off the table.
Sure.
You can do that too.
All right. Jacob, short for Alfarius. Anthony, since Innis's E has a
Inez.
Inez
That's,
said novelty sells, and if people
Spanish
want
cousin.
to see cool videos about obscure detachments, when are we getting Deceptors breakdown videos?
I mean, if I start playing them again, sure. I haven't really touched them since, the incident. So
Incident.
Anthony hasn't even logged into StreamYard. I don't see a world where he starts recording random videos.
I mean, I could be convinced especially if we get into like a rhythm where like we do a thing or it's like an interview style thing. I can get into that. I
can probably grab you on for one of the ones I've been doing at some point. For an
yeah, it
interesting
wouldn't even
army.
be hard. But yeah,
you're unemployed and I work for myself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm self-employed. Thank you very much. Just not doing a lot of working. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe post WTC, I'll put up another like fucking dono goal and see if we can get me to do something stupid again.
We'll get Anthony if we can. We'll get Anthony a world WCW ticket and crowdfund him to go to play a stupid army.
Oh God, no!
Right.
Not like that. That's not what I meant. I actually gave away the golden ticket. I got a BFS, so no.
All right, Boo Earns, thank you for the $10 super chat. Hello, guys. If you could bring only two, do you choose 2 Gladiator Lancers, 2 Vindicators, or 1 of each? I presume you would take 2 Ballistas over the other 2 options.
Not to take 2 Ballistas. Look, it's tough. A vacuum, Vindicators are the best.
Do you have good or ghetto oaths? Do you have good or ghetto oaths?
Also a valid question. If you have ghetto oath, Lancers get a lot more palatable.
Yeah.
And Ballistas are a really bad first 2 shooting units because they don't really do enough.
They're there.
They're certainly
not.
there. They're
Yeah.
certainly really good at making your opponent take between 2 and 3 saves.
Yep.
A lot of the time. The thing I don't like about Ballistas is that you can't make a Ballistas do more than its data sheet because it already has rerolls, and a lot of detachments don't have like a shooting buff you can give it. So when you need like a lot of units are priced around their damage output, and Ballistas Dreadnoughts are priced around being their damage output and a 2-up save and having rerolls built in. Where other data sheets have like another rule that gives additional damage a different way, and you can give them full rerolls with Oath, which means that you can have the unit do more than its data sheet. Where Ballistas Dreadnoughts are always just their shooting, right? You can't make them do more than that. So for some armies that want like an ability to make a thing go dead in the shooting phase a little harder, like Ballistas Dreadnoughts just do what they do. Whereas you can make the Lancer, it's got a lot of shots. Once you start adding all the grenade launchers and the stuff and stuff like that, it can fuck up a small Space Marine squad or Eldar unit that a Ballistas just doesn't necessarily do. Or you can make a Vindicator really sing and give it full rerolls, and it really does a bunch of damage. A lot of the time, not always. So it
does a lot of the time. Asterisk.
Yeah, Ballistas are a really, really good second and third or third and fourth shooting unit because they don't need Oath. But when you need something extra dead with like unconventional damage, Ballistas don't help you get over that line where the other ones do, which is why I tend to prefer Lancers or Vindicators as your first 2 shooting units, or even Predators if you're like really budget. Like the Wrath of the Rock list I posted up had double Annihilator because I just, on turn 1, my oath is going to be unspoken for, and if I really want that Forge Fiend dead, I'm better doing it with Predators with damage rules than I am with Ballistic Dreadnoughts.
That makes sense. All right. Carl is the next question, which is, hello, guys. I'm new to playing 40k, and I find my army confusing and difficult. Would it make sense to try learning basic game concepts with a simpler and more idiot-proof army, or should I focus on learning my sisters?
I think you should marry those 2 ideas. I think you should play a simpler sisters list, and that would probably help you a lot.
Pick like your favorite 4 data sheets and play those, and don't play a list that's good. Just play a list that works.
Just
that has
something as simple as like the newer Champions of Faith lists that are like 30 Sacrosants, 3 Castigators, Vol. Go.
Yep. You don't have to worry about managing as much stuff. You're not, and you're just, this is the core things you can learn to use those data sheets, and you can branch out from there as you get more confident with it.
That's a good answer. Also, it's good to just play the models that you want to play. Like, even if you're new and the army's a little complicated, it's better to play the models that you enjoy painting and hobbying, because that will keep you in the hobby a little longer.
As long as you enjoy playing with it as well, right? Like, you just because you enjoy painting and playing with models doesn't mean. And also, disclaimer: if your favorite army to look at is Imperial Agents, do not get Imperial Agents as your first army. Don't do it. It's not worth it. I would also apply that to AdMech and GSC. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Little known fact, fucking love AdMech. Visually, we'll never play them because their playstyle is just like anathema to me.
Anthony, you would have loved 7th edition AdMech, where they were super elite, but they got all the upgrades for free. It was great.
Yeah,
you just got,
and they just fucking
a little
slammed.
more stuff. Yeah,
that would have been sick.
Yeah,
but that is
long
like
gone.
AdMech have so many things that look like they should own, and all of them are just like 2 attacks at strength 3, and you're like, what?
Great.
Yeah.
The next question is from Aaron Imperialis Knight, which is, how do you think the current meta will shape around the new codexes?
Yep. I mean, I think they have to, right? This is very much like an adapt or die situation.
You're gonna have to figure out your Thousands of your Chaos Knight matchup, guys, while also dealing with Hammer and Virulent.
And then for Anthony specifically, how does Bile look with the CK changes?
Oh, it's tragic. It is not. It is not a Bile meta, right? Like it sucks because I want it to be. Nothing would have worked better for me personally than had like the World Leaders Codex come out and been present, and just to be like, unlucky, Bile, and just been like happy, cruising through my day with my Bile Brick of Chosen and my Prime Subject Lord and my Possessed. And then Games Workshop just went in and was like, everyone's damage characteristic for the next 6 releases is 3. Fuck you. And it's like, oh, all right, fuck me, I guess. Like, yeah.
God, watching a drone shoot 8 bound is a war crime.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just not
good.
Or Possessed or anything. Yeah, it's awful. I hate
Possessed,
really
you get to have a
watching
couple
drones
Possessed
shoot
at the end, So
Maybe.
that part's you will never lose the whole unit.
To 3 drones, you definitely could.
Oh, to 3, sure, but 1 is all I'm talking about. You can't lose.
It can't only have 10 shots, so
you shouldn't lose the whole unit to 1.
I hear you out there, Bruce. I know you could, because you once lost a full belt break of Chosen 3-1 to wound to 5 tank busters. But
yeah, that's actually not like, I'm not even that surprised. That shit be happening.
-1 to hit, it's a crime.
Right. The next question is from Bobby, the RPG Luminary, which is, in your opinion, in the current meta with Chaos Knights and pending release, do you feel it's best to skew for anti-vehicle or anti-infantry, or is it best to have a balance?
In singles, you have to be balanced. You don't have another option.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you should bring units that are good at both things, like Vindicators.
Yeah. Thankfully, 40k is still very much like an anti-everything game. Like, they tried really hard to not, or they paid a lot of lip service to trying to make things not anti-everything. And all of the best profiles in the game are still just like, I have 11 billion attacks at 10-2-2 or whatever. And like, those are all still just the best profiles in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still not sure what Forge Fiends in World Leaders aren't good at killing.
Vehicles.
Same
mostly.
thing with Magnus.
Like, if you're T10 or higher, They're gonna do like 6 damage to you, maybe.
It's still pretty good for cheap.
Yeah, kinda. It ain't no drone.
It ain't no drone. You should play Death Guard if you want to really just handle everything.
Yeah.
And then the second question is, what is a good percentage of a list / number of units in a list to have for scoring secondaries?
How
No,
many
little
does the rest
shitters
of your
should he
list at
have?
it?
that's not how.
Mm.
Yeah, that's not. How
I
the game
rarely
works.
like having less than 2 dedicated scoring units, but that's like, what's a dedicated scoring unit in this? I don't know. Sometimes my scouts are dedicated scoring units. Sometimes they're turn 1 charging. It's
Yeah.
like I like to have a bunch. I like to have a suite of units that can adapt to the metagame, right? Like Gene Stealer cults. How many dedicated scoring units do I have in Gene Stealer cults, Anthony? I don't fucking know. Like none, technically, but all of them can be.
Yeah, at any
Um,
given time.
What does a guard list have? Like 8?
Does a rhino count as a dedicated scoring unit?
Exactly, right?
Yes,
Um,
100%.
I would usually budget around 300 points to things to stand on my home objective and to score secondaries that will sometimes do damage if the occasion is right. You know, so to kind of sum that up, it's like a scout squad. So to use Gladys' example, it's like the scout squad, the intercessor squad, the lone up lieutenant, the gravis captain. It's about 300 points. They all have other jobs. They all can be scoring units. And sometimes I'll use a ballistic strike to score because it might need to, right? But it's like 3 units, 300 points of stuff that is like, if all it did this game was score, you'd be happy, is probably about right for most armies. Some armies that are playing much more aggressive slant can't afford to spend that much and have to trade on the, I'm going to cannibalize your score rather than supporting my own, and will maybe only spend 1 or 2 units, maybe 200 points, right? Like a World Eaters army maybe has like a Jackal squad, a couple Spawn squads, and a Rhino. And it's like, yeah, it's probably about 300 points, but the Spawn really don't want to be doing that. They want to be going in with the rest of your wave or like applying that kind of pressure, right? So that's, you know, it's maybe about the same ballpark, but the goal is, you know, if the, you know, you would be unhappy if all that 300 points did was score in that game, right? Under most circumstances, but not always, right? It's a very, very back and forth. What about Imperial Knights? None, right? I wouldn't spend a, or Chaos Knights right now? None, probably, right?
I mean, it's fuck you with world leaders, right? Because like your life, their death is worth primary. So like you need less because you're
Sure,
playing
exactly, right?
damage.
And that's why it's very contextual. What did a Yunari army run? Like maybe 2 units, right? You had like a Rager squad, a Void Scar squad, and that was maybe it. But everything was a scored unit because it's sticky on death. So
Or also
or moved when it died, right? Like there's
it was
lots
an
of
MSU Eldar unit, so it didn't matter.
exactly. There's an insane amount of volatility to this, right? The more your army is good at scoring passively, the less you need to dedicate to this, or the more you need to lean away from this as a play pattern, right? If your play pattern is not to play stand and score, you don't have to dedicate anything to this. You can just go for crushing your opponent, right? That's totally fine, but it's a concession that you're making in the list building stage.
Thank you to James Manlanget for the $5 New Zealand reduce. Redemptors worth taking for their points at the moment, yes or no?
Nope.
I don't think
There you
so, but like
The
There's
metagame is
definitely like
really
a-
not damage too heavy right now.
yeah, it's a watch this space unit because it's not hard for them to come back into favor.
Redemptors are one of those things where, like, when the metagame is all damage 2, AP 2, and stuff like that, they're really good. But Redemptors got raked over the coals by the AOC change in a way that few other units did.
So like yes, but also if your meta has like a fuck ton of Blood Angels, they're a real pain in the ass for BA.
Yeah, they certainly are. Yeah, but I think there are better things that you can do in that matchup than just Redemptor Dreadnoughts because they still don't do anything against Blood Angels.
Oh, that's not true. That fucking plasma cannon and the fist, that's not true at all. Like that they're
Feels like it sometimes. I feel like I never get anything out of Redemptor Dreadnoughts.
dude, I've never seen a Redemptor roll less than like a 5 on the dice for shot count on that plasma cannon. That thing is the ender of days when it plays against me. I fucking hate that thing.
I'll never forget a game I played at LGT where I had it one tap a unit of Squig Hog Boys. It was
God damn.
just like 7 shots, 7 hits. I was in combat with another unit. I was in combat with 4 boys, and the Storm
just
Bolter and the Gatling Underslung pulled me out of
Yeah.
combat as well. So I charged a 3rd unit. It was glorious.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vindicators are just better Redemptors right now, I think. In the wider metagame, I would rather play a Vindicator.
But yeah.
They're very different jobs, but they are very similar points value, and that makes it very hard to justify, especially when the Blisters are sitting right there for 70 points less. That
It's
will
so
usually impact
different.
the game more.
It's so different.
Yeah, but I feel like I would get more out of, like, I feel like equivalently points value, I get more out of a Ballistic Dreadnought than I do out of a Redemptor most games.
I guess.
Like, I played Redemptors as recently ago as like LGT Invitational, and it was, you know, it was fine, but
Look, there's definitely better stuff. I'm just saying, like that's a data sheet that would see a lot of play in other armies.
that's fair.
All right. The next question is from Goran, which is, how would you build world leaders for WT singles events at the moment?
Trap? Question mark?
Fair. All right. Carl asked the next question. I'm just going to keep going because we have like 10 questions left.
I know.
No. The real answer is I would play Demonkin. Demonkin's really good
Okay.
in singles. It gives you more
That makes
outplay
sense.
angles than the alternatives. It was just like a, who are you? You trying to get me?
Siege Roots, thank you for the $5 super chat. So now with some time, where has the meta settled on whether to divorce Calgar and Gilliman? I'm not sure what I'd use to fill the points.
Don't do that.
Fuck no.
Why would you? No, don't do that.
You have less CP. Unfortunate. Move on.
You have less CP and 35 more points to spend, and that 35 points might be better than those CP were.
Depends on the game, but a lot of the time that ain't wrong.
You were doing some dumb shit with your CP in that army because you just had them. You're just like, oh, I'll AOC and fight on death. One of these will be relevant.
Yeah.
Reasonable. Carl has a question, which is, can long edge deployments be fixed with layouts or something, or are they problematic on a fundamental level?
They're problematic on a fundamental level
You
with
just-
how fast 40k is.
You like the problem to like put a words to words from my perspective. You start too close together to begin with, right? We're 44-inch deployment a long ways apart from each other, and once you add in the fact that you need like, and I think Dawn of War is 20 inches of separation right now because you start 12 up, so there's 20 inches of separation, which is already not enough because units move 20 inches, let alone advance and move 20, advance and charge 20 inches, plus scout, plus everything else, plus infiltrate, right? There's too much that stuff to have 12 inches of deployment zone between the front line and your backfield because there's not enough stratification between the front edge of the battlefield and the back edge of the battlefield. Like range, which already doesn't matter a ton in this game, gets minimized even less. Like the boards we play are too small for this little deployment separation.
Yeah.
And
it works in corners, to put a point on this before it gets asked. It works in corners because you can go backwards.
Yeah,
you can get
exactly.
away from people in corners.
You can't go backwards in this deployment. Now,
in Dawn,
I think, sorry,
in Dawn, you get stabbed to death in your deployment zone if you deploy on the board edge. Like,
yeah, I think search should probably be pushed to like 12 inches circle instead of 9, but
good.
I don't think it would make. I think it would make enough of a difference that you would feel it. Like the fact that your corner to corner is 13 inches in search is always wild to me, but
yep,
I'm happy to take advantage of it all I can.
I mean, it's still one of the best layouts. Some of that being that WTC maps outside of that and Crucible are bad, but like, it works.
All right. Next question is from Jeff, Death Company Forklift. Does the new mission deck lessen the imbalance between fixed and tactical?
No.
No.
It is almost always wrong to pick fixed still. Against 6 bigs, you could play fixed. That's it.
There you go. The next question is from Goran, which says, for all of you, with what army are you having the most fun with at the moment? Space Wolves for me, they're a blast. All the detachments and variations on that list are a lot of fun to play.
Rivendell.
There you go.
It's still just Gene Circle. I have a really hard time playing armies that don't get models back now. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm just like, my shit's dead, and I'm like, is that it? What do you mean? This is all I get?
Yeah.
Like I played Ultramarines Gladius for an event. I've just played Wrath of the Rock. I've been playing Blood Angels, and like they're all pretty fun. I don't get my stuff back though. Like, what do you mean?
Yep.
I like res and stuff. I'm just kind of, my units res, my models res, my units that are dead res. Like, it's nice to just have more stuff to play with. I get more models per game, which means I get more maximum fun. And every time I get the rapid ingress into Overwatch with the Nexus unit, I'm just like, this is the best day of my goddamn life.
That's fair.
Shout out to the Trigon that fucking ate one. You just roll like that 1/6 on the mining list, and you're like, fucking lights, baby.
Yep. You know what I realized would be the funniest psyop? If I wasn't playing Middle Earth strategy battles just at all, I was just Team USA's Eldar player. God, that would be hilarious.
Damn.
Would that be a funnier
all
psyop of me not taking GSC to WTC and I've been playing Thousands this whole time?
That would also be funny, but just in like a sad kind of way,
Yeah, it really would be, wouldn't it?
All right. The next question is from L. Christofferson, which says, thoughts on Peerless Blades winning a GT?
Good for them.
Sometimes you can win with whatever.
Shout out to Wrath of the Rock.
Yeah.
Peerless Blades
Tyler
has a
D.
really cool detachment rule. It isn't Coterie.
Yeah, not
Mm.
coterie is actually what every detachment in EC is called.
Yeah, like Peerless Blades would be a really good second best detachment if Coterie didn't exist.
And Carnival.
Yeah,
Carnival is
that's
also
why it'd be a
better
really
than...
good second best detachment.
Yep.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I get you now. Yeah. Oh, that's
It'd be the
sad.
one that people were like, "Is this okay?" It's like because you know how people are right now with Carnivore. They're like, "Is this good? Does this work?" And you're like, "It's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
It works." And you're just like trying way too hard compared to playing Coterie. Like that's what Peerless would be if Carnival
Yeah.
was Coterie.
Yeah. Peerless is to Carnival as Carnival is to coterie.
where Coterie's just Peerless Blades was just being like, you're just stunting on them. You're stunting on the hose because your data sheets are still pretty good.
Yep.
and
And your
pretty good
army
at the
rule is
game.
fucked.
Yeah, you're just like, yeah, it's advanced charge, and I got fight first. It's messed up.
Woohoo!
Next question is from Tyler D, which is, are Chaos Knights a gatekeeper or actually decent? And I think they're actually just decent.
We'll tell you in 3 months. Unfortunately, we don't know yet.
My
Right? I need
early
to
read
see
is
Chaos
gatekeep.
Knights. I need to see Chaos Knights win some tournaments before I'll call them anything more than a gatekeeper. I think they might be the best possible gatekeeper. They might be
Yeah.
the fucking gate guardians, but
Yeah.
God damn it is.
I think they're like... I mean, I felt this way even when IK was at like 60% win rate and winning half the events like a couple weeks ago, right? Like, I still just think that it's like, I guess you can win, sure, but I don't know. This kind of exacerbates the thing I was talking about earlier where you like get to a table and there's like 9 elements that have to go right for you to like play a game. And IK like exacerbate that out. But anyone can hit the fucking, guided fucking thread the needle, right?
Yeah.
you just play
And
5
then-
Chaos Knight mirrors now.
Sure. Yeah.
You went
and the one
first
of you that
full
plays
reroll
Lords
strat.
of Dread is going to
You
win.
went first with the full reroll strat and just vaped one.
Yeah. Boo.
I want to see. Let me know if you're playing Infernal at tournaments anytime soon. Let me know what your high score and sustained hits, dev wounds with a Volkite is. At a tournament specifically.
Do you think they'll be better in singles or in teams?
Teams.
Yeah,
And
teams.
then, which big knight is your favorite? I think the Abominant. I like
The first one I ever bought was a Paladin, so.
It
But I have
used
a
to be-
really, really cool converted Gallant that was in White Dwarf, so.
I think it's the Rampager, probably.
Yeah, that's the Gallant, the Imperial
That's a
version
good
of
one.
that.
Yeah. Well, the Rampager, just like the front codex art for the CK books and stuff, is always like fucking destroying that Redemptor. God, that shit's sick.
I have fully reposed, sculpted toes for the underside of it so it could be in a running position. Double sword Gallant that I used in White Dwarf, so I feel like I have to say that one.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair.
All right. Lyndon Arteredum has the next question, which is, which would you take to a GW Terrain GT? Angelic Inheritors or Khorne Demonkin? And if it's Khorne Demonkin, what is the correct number of bloodletter units to take?
I would play Demonkin because Inheritors is a like Grey Knight's
jackass
army in
attachment.
red paint. It's an uppy downy gun army that happens to have countercharge in it. It's not really like a Blood Angel army in the way that like
You want it to be?
not in the way that like someone playing Blood Angels probably even wants it to be, right? Like no one's like, dude, I'm gonna get into Blood Angels for these uppy downy Inceptors. That's not really
He's
like
actually even playing Inceptors as a card belt, to be fair. He
What'd you
solves that
say?
for balls.
Yeah, sure, whatever. You get what I'm saying though, right? No one's like
It's just the best way to play the Sanguinor. If you're like you really want to play the Sanguinor, you should
Yeah.
do it there.
Yeah. But I would play Khorne Demonkin and I would try anywhere between 20 and 40 bloodletters, I think is reasonable. The whole
I
detachment.
would play Angelic Inheritors because I don't own World Eaters. So
Yeah, the whole thing with Khorne Demonkin is bloodletters. So like if you're not taking enough bloodletters or you run out of bloodletters, it very quickly becomes like, what am I doing with this?
why am I playing this? Why am I working for my blood tithe bonus for my bonuses?
Yeah.
Right.
Derek has the next question. The first part of it's
cyberbullying Nathan. Yeah.
Yeah, cyberbullying me for needing to cancel GT plans this weekend because I have family visiting. Unfortunately, I do want to stay married, so I'm going to do that.
Well, first you leave your job. Now you don't want to leave your missus. What are you? You gotta be more consistent with these things.
I know, right? For everyone, with multiple big threats being unshackled after this slate, do you think we'll see GW's triple nerf hit multiple factions? Can't think of a recent period where there were this many overperformers all at once.
God, wouldn't that be nice?
I definitely hope they come out swinging a little bit with the next one, because this is not.
Yeah, when we get back to independent team events metagame, I want it to be fun again.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much that, right? Like once we're out, like, you know, WTC kind of just like is what it is at this point, right? We've got like 2 weeks left until rules lock, and then like 3 weeks, like a week after that for list lock, or 2 weeks after that for list
Yeah,
lock,
it's
right?
like 25 days from now.
Yeah, so I definitely would prefer a world where they were like, a bunch of this shit is overtuned, you know, are bad, oops, bam, and let things kind of settle from there.
Sure.
WTC is going to be fun because it's WTC, and it's never fun because of the meta game. I've been to WTC 2017, 2018, 2019, 2022, 2023, 2024. Maybe my 7th WTC. The meta game's not been good at a single fucking one of them. So
I think the last meta wasn't bad. I think that
it was
had.
last
I
year
think
was alright, actually.
I think the 9th one would have been pretty good if they had just let CSM in.
It would have been pretty good if the Necron faction secondaries didn't exist.
I don't even think. Again, that's one of those things, right? Like if they had just let CSM in, CSM would have helped with that a lot. But I think that across those two things, I don't know. I've heard like 2 or 3 times people talk about like, you know, what could you do to fix WTC with regards to like release timing? The only answer that I've even seen that's like even vaguely reasonable is move it to May. And I think that would be a beautiful, wonderful thing that will
Honestly,
see
even
if it
like
happens.
April wouldn't be that bad, right?
May
It'd
is
be
just like you close out a season, right? You end on the WTC, release happens in June, move on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like April or May or June would be fine as long as it was early June. Right? Like any of those options.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Like that 3-month stretch, the last balance patch, once that patch hits in April, right? Because we usually get like January, April, June.
Yeah.
Whatever, once the April one hits, like within like more than 4 weeks, but less than 12 weeks from that patch would
Sure.
be the time that I think would work best.
Yeah.
Next question is from Sean, which is, how do I cope with finally, after so long, having something I'm excited, imminently under the threat of the patented GW triple nerf? Abominants and testing seem to be better in 3s than as singles. So I'm feeling sensitive to them falling apart with an overcorrection. I don't think that Abominants are so good that they're going to get triple nerfed. That seems wild.
Triple nerfed seems strong. I could see them getting nerfed. I think 325 is probably a bit cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that Big Knight's point cost should not start with 3s, the same way I think that Big Demon's point cost should not start with 2s and should be on the high end of 3s.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
all that shit should just be more expensive and better. It's tragic as fuck that a Bloodthirster gets into melee and you're like, maybe he'll kill this Predator. Like, that should not be what happens. But also, he shouldn't be 300 points.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
And then
GW seems to be allergic to making things better and more expensive.
They did it with Deathwing Knights, and it's like the most successful change they've had this edition. They've done it with fucking nothing else.
Yep.
All right. The last question for the evening.
Oh, Gulliman, I guess, right?
Oh, sure, yes.
And a Lion a little bit. And I guess Mortarion with the Codex.
Yeah.
Like, they've done it a few times, but nowhere near as much as they could have. Yeah, they did it with Keepers. They just didn't make them better.
True.
Thanks, Kelly.
All right. Goran has the last question. Is, you guys think there will be a data fix before list submissions for WTC?
I fucking hope not. It'd be a real bitch if we got that data slate a couple weeks ago and then they were like, by the way, all that testing, fuck you. That would be unfortunate.
James Workshop, you hear it here. Make Anthony sad by releasing one in 2 days.
I don't do that, please. It's as messy as things are now. I feel better now that at least it's settled.
I'll take messy and stable over unstable and slightly better any day of the week. Because I can't even guarantee that if they did it, that it would be enough, right? So if it's not going to be enough, just don't change it.
Just leave it alone. Just fucking stop touching. It's like the charge phase. Is the current charge phase good? No. Do I want them to change it literally ever again? Also no. Just leave it the fuck alone.
Fair, reasonable, understandable.
Yeah.
Could change
That is it for questions.
Fucking Lord of the Rings style movement trays next edition.
That's just, Lord of the Rings doesn't work that way. Everything moves by itself. But whatever, that's fine.
Okay. Sorry, I'm thinking of War of the Ring.
Old World works that way.
Sure, yeah, let's do that. All right, guys. I think that is going to be us wrapping it up for the end of the show. We are 2 hours in. Nathan's going to do his little outro bit. But broadly, thank you for being with us. Nathan, do you want to do your bit?
Yeah, let's talk about Cult of the High Five callouts. If you join the most expensive Patreon tier, which is $15 a month and is the Crisp High Five tier, you get, among many other benefits in person, you get called out and thanked at the end of every episode, which I hope Innocent Anthony had a great time with last week.
Never miss a show again.
I'll try not to. All right, let's get into it. You get to write these as custom callouts, and I do them every week. And it's
$15 a month gets you access to the Cult of the High Five tier.
Yep. All right.
I was handed out dice at the event last weekend, so
shit. Yeah, I have a bunch of challenge coins that I can hand out to people now at events if you see me.
So we should call them Challenger coins.
Challenger coins. We can do that. Yeah, sure. All right. Thank you to Christopher. Meow, 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 meow. And yes, I am counting the meows, Nathan. There are 14 of them. Irvine.
I didn't.
Thank you to Willow. I went slowly to make sure that I did not give more or less than the asked for number because you don't get free stuff. No. Thank you to Willow Weeks. Thank you to Dan F. Thank you to Luke. Harridan's taking the subway McCarthy. I will say that is the funniest thing I've seen is the frickin' Hierophant and the Harridan popping out of tunnels. Great stuff, guys. Please continue to do that shit.
Taking the subway is a very funny way to describe that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you to David. Revenge is a dish best served with mayonnaise and those little cheesy things on sticks, Clark. Thank you to IEAIAIOI. God damn it. Thank you to James H. Thank you to Golton, Dan F. Miller. Thank you to Fungus. Thank you to John V8 Gang, Nathan's favorite. It's true. He was the first person to wish me Happy Father's Day as Stats Dad on the Discord. So he's my favorite. Thank you to Cam, Fdan, Morton, Hog Emoji. Thank you to Archon. Now looking for buyer for some 3D printed Urguls, Lamans, and Medusa. 25mm scale. No refunds. Rahal. Although this is 25-meter scale, which is a terrifying, not a miniature anymore. Thank you to Josiah Gattle. Thank you to Tank Commander Frankie. Thank you to Isaac. My dream as a young child was to run Canis Rex and 5 more big nights, and soon this dream will be a reality. Tarada. Thank you.
If Canis Rex, just for what it's worth, if Canis Rex's flight was cost less than $350, I'll jump off a bridge.
Thank you for the video, Innes. Thank you to Thomas. List submissions should be penalized if they don't include a soundtrack of Equation. I can get down with that. Thank you to Steven. Raids are really good. Finally good now, Ross. Fuck
Thank
you to Tom. Chicago style is not a pizza. Or is not pizza H. Thank you to Because my question was skipped, I will ask here. Should I celebrate the new Chaos Knights Codex by busting out the 20mm wood dice that use numbers? Yes. I heard you should just do that. Thank you to Jeff. Wow. Simple. Thank you to our sponsor this week, Neophyte Head Wax. Shine your best on the day of Ascension with the Patriarch recommended head wax. Now in new scented flavors, Seismic Strawberry, Benefictus Blueberry, and Watermelon. God damn it.
Look, that's a good bit.
Isn't a way.
That's good. That's from Floof. That was really good. Thank you, Floof. Thank you to Gucci, ? And then thank you to Joe. Running a Banesword to get Challenger cards is a valid strategy P. We're I love this thing because occasionally people add tabs and stuff to it, and the first one says where'd the tabs go, and the second one says fan fiction section, which will never not amuse me. And that is it. Thank you to everyone for joining that tier, and thank you to everyone for writing bangers of call outs because I do enjoy those. They are quite a bit of fun.
All right, Nathan, do your bit.
Bye-bye.